Chapter 3402, Spirit Ancestor. Without two experts of the fifth level of the void, the Blood Ancestor is temporarily unable to return to the divine beginning realm. With just me supporting him, the position of my Blood Ancestor's lineage will naturally be shaken. The three great factions that were on equal footing with my Blood Ancestor's lineage also took the opportunity to make trouble. During this period of time, my Blood Ancestor's lineage has been at a disadvantage in many battles against these three great factions. Up until now, many of the resources that we occupied were territories, and we have been forced to give up quite a few of them. However, this is not the end. During this period of time, the Nether Ancestor lineage of the four strongest factions has secretly schemed against the Blood Ancestor lineage. They want to compete with the Blood Ancestor lineage for an extremely important territory. The Blood Ancestor lineage is currently thinking of how to deal with it. Master Ancient Will said from his words, Jian Wushuang could tell that he had no solution. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. Sure enough, there were all kinds of conflicts of interest in any major force, which could not be avoided. The root of all these interests was one's own strength. Only when one's strength was strong enough could one earn more resources. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, it's all thanks to you that Xue Bai's interspatial ring has returned. The treasures in the interspatial ring are of great use to my Blood Ancestor's bloodline now. It can be considered to have solved our urgent problem, Master Ancient Will said. You're too kind, Master Ancient Will. Jian Wushuang smiled, but he began to ponder in his heart. Senior Xue Bei was a great benefactor to me. Without the opportunity he gave me back then, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today in such a short period of time. Back then, Senior Xue Bei said that if I saw that the Blood Ancestor's bloodline was in trouble, I would help if I could. Jian Wushuang did not have much of a relationship with the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, but Xue Bei had indeed helped him a lot back then. Moreover, he had obtained Xue Bai's mantle. In fact, he could be considered Xue Bai's successor. Now that the Blood Ancestor's bloodline was in trouble, Jian Wushuang did not mind helping them if he could. Of course, this was only if he could really help them. After chatting for a while, Master Ancient Will suddenly smiled and said, Mr. Heavenly Marquis, it seems that you're quite a big man. Oh, Jian Wushuang looked at Master Ancient Will and asked, Has Spirit Ancestor replied? Yes, the Maid of Spirit Ancestor has sent a message. She said that Spirit Ancestor is willing to see you and wants me to take you there now, Master Ancient Will said. Then let's not waste any time. I'll ask Master Ancient Will to lead the way. Jian Wushuang stood up with joy on his face. He had known that Spirit Ancestor was cold and aloof and might not meet him. He had been worried because if Spirit Ancestor was unwilling to meet him, he would have to think of other ways. But now it seemed that he was lucky that Spirit Ancestor was willing to meet him. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, come with me. Ancient Will Master led Jian Wushuang to the place where Spirit Ancestor lived. Spirit Ancestor was cold and aloof. Although she was an ancestor of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect and a member of a big faction, she did not have any experts under her command. The place where she lived was not as grand as the Blood Ancestors. She only lived in a bamboo forest near the edge. Deep in the bamboo forest, the river was very quiet. Except for Spirit Ancestor and her handmaidens, no one would come here normally. But today, Master Ancient Will brought Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua to the outside of the bamboo forest. As soon as they arrived, a green-robed woman came up to them. Miss Lu I have brought the Heavenly Sword Marquis here, Master Ancient Will introduced with a smile. You are Heavenly Sword Marquis. The green-robed woman looked at Jian Wushuang. Yes, I am. Jian Wushuang nodded with a humble expression. He could see that although the green-robed woman was only a maid under Spirit Ancestor's command, her cultivation had reached the level of Principal's master. Moreover, judging from the vague pressure coming from her body, the woman's strength was at least at the fourth realm of the void, and it was possible that she had reached the fifth realm. How dare a Principal's master with such great strength be willing to be a servant of Spirit Ancestor? Jian Wushuang's expression was rather strange. Master has instructed that Heavenly Sword Marquis is alone. The others can leave first, or wait outside the bamboo forest, the green-robed woman said. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, there are still some things that we have to deal with in the blood ancestor lineage. So we'll go back first, Master Ancient Will said and left. Naturally, Qinhua stayed outside the bamboo forest to wait for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was led by the green-robed woman into the bamboo forest and soon arrived at the center of the bamboo forest. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. In the center of the bamboo forest, there was a clear and bottomless immortal lake. In the middle of the lake, there was a small island with a simple courtyard and a bamboo house. In front of the bamboo house, a black-robed woman was sitting there calmly. Her eyes were staring at the lake in front of her, without blinking, as if she had fallen into deep thought. Even if Jian Wushuang and the green-clothed woman walked closer, the black-clothed woman did not react at all. Master, Heavenly Sword Marquis is here, the green-clothed woman said softly. Upon hearing this, the black-clothed woman slowly turned her head to look at Jian Wushuang. Her delicate appearance was not absolutely beautiful, but it had a unique flavor. The black-clothed woman's eyes were like a pool of stagnant water, without the slightest ripple. She is the Spirit Ancestor. Jian Wushuang looked at the black-clothed woman in front of him. The moment his eyes met the black-clothed woman's, Jian Wushuang felt a burst of astonishment in the depths of his soul. It was as if he had fallen into an extremely wonderful feeling. The Spirit Ancestor's attainments in the soul are extraordinary. Her every move can easily erode a person's soul. Jian Wushuang was secretly shocked. If it were any other cultivator, even if they were stronger than Jian Wushuang, they would have to be careful when facing the Spirit Ancestor because the soul attack was silent and did not allow for the slightest reaction. If they were not careful, their souls might be destroyed or they would no longer belong to them. However, Jian Wushuang was different. Because of his different physique, the thing that Jian Wushuang was most afraid of was the soul attack. Heavenly Sword Marquis, greetings to Spirit Ancestor. Jian Wushuang bowed humbly. A saint dares to look directly into my eyes without any fear. You are quite capable, the black-clothed woman said softly. You flatter me, Spirit Ancestor, Jian Wushuang said. Tell me, why did you come to me? Spirit Ancestor had already averted her eyes from Jian Wushuang. Chapter 34:03. Conditions to tell you the truth. I have a favor to ask of you, Spirit Ancestor. Jian Wushuang said directly. Tell me. Spirit Ancestor did not refuse at once. Jian Wushuang told her about his wife's soul stripping. Spirit Ancestor raised her head slightly and asked, Are you going to do the soul stripping for your wife? Yes, but the soul stripping is not a trivial matter. If I'm not careful, my wife's soul might be hurt. Therefore, I have to ask an expert like you, who has a higher attainment in soul manipulation, to do it personally, Jian Wushuang said. You're right. The soul stripping is not a trivial matter, especially since the person is your wife. You must be careful. If I do it personally, with the help of the old Valley Master of Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, I don't dare to say that I won't hurt your wife's soul, but am at least 99% sure, Spirit Ancestor said. That's why I came to the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect and asked you to help me. Of course, if you have any conditions, just say the word, Jian Wushuang said. Haha, just say the word. Young man, you sure talk big. Spirit Ancestor sneered. I do have something that has troubled me for countless years, but can you do it? Spirit Ancestor, you can tell me? Jian Wushuang said. They've an enemy who won't stop until he's dead. I've wanted to cut him into 1,000 pieces for a long time, but I haven't been able to do it. If you have the ability, can you kill him for me? Spirit Ancestor glanced at Jian Wushuang. An enemy? Jian Wushuang frowned. He knew very well that Spirit Ancestor was a very powerful expert of the 6 void realms who was good at the soul. He was also one of the highest-ranking people in the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect, and had the title of Ancestor. He was the enemy of such an expert. Moreover, for so many years, Spirit Ancestor had been unable to do anything to him. How could he be an ordinary character? Although he knew that the other party's identity and strength were definitely not ordinary, Jian Wushuang still asked, but I wonder who the person Spirit Ancestor is talking about is. His name is Northern Borer. As for his identity, you can ask someone from your temporal temple, Spirit Ancestor said. Jian Wushuang immediately sent a message to Temple Master Bai Xing, and he received an answer in just a moment. Northern Borer, one of the 4 divine clans, the clan leader of the Blood Clan. A trace of shock flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Although he knew that his identity was extraordinary, he did not expect him to have such a great background. In the Divine Beginning realm, apart from the 3 Freedom Alliances, the 4 divine clans in the 3rd heaven were the strongest among the overlords of the 3 saint realms. Each of the 4 divine races was extremely ancient. It was said that they had existed since the birth of the divine realm. Because they were a special race, each of the 4 divine races was very talented. Although they could not be compared to the special life forms, they were very rare in the divine realm. Jian Wushuang had only met 2 or 3 of them, but the 4 divine races were a huge race. Among the 4 great divine clans, the 9-tailed clan was the one that Jian Wushuang had really interacted with. The 9-tailed clan had sent experts to kill him, and there were more than a dozen principals masters in the clan. From this, one could see how powerful the 9-tailed clan was. However, according to what Jian Wushuang knew, the 9-tailed clan seemed to be at the bottom of the 4 great divine clans. It could even be said that they were the weakest clan. The Ancient Clan and the Blood Ancestor were the 2 strongest divine clans. Their overall strength was much more terrifying than that of the 9-tailed clan. Blood Clan. In my previous life, the one who caused the huge waves in the 10,000 chaotic worlds was one of the Blood Emperors of the Blood Clan. Jian Wushuang's expression was cold. From his previous life, he knew that the Blood Clan was very strong. But now, the person whom Spirit Ancestor said he wanted to kill was actually the clan leader of the Blood Clan. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBoxNovel. Thanks. The clan leader was not something that a mere Blood Emperor could compare to. He was one of the pillars of the Blood Clan. First of all, to be able to become the clan leader of the Blood Clan, that Northern Borer had to be at least a super expert of the 6 states of the void. He had even reached the peak of the 6 states of the void. Just like the Qinhua, he was not far from the limit. Such a super expert. Even if a Saint Realm Master personally made a move, he might not have absolute confidence in being able to kill him, right? If he was alone, what more the powerful and powerful Blood Clan behind him? Why? Are you frightened by my name? Spirit Ancestor looked at Jian Wushuang mockingly. It's not that I'm frightened, but as the clan leader of the Blood Clan, it's not easy to kill Northern Borer unless a master of the Saint Realm or a master-level expert is involved, Jian Wushuang said. Humph, if it were that easy to kill, I would have done it long ago. Why would I need you? Spirit Ancestor snorted. He continued, "In short, I've given you the conditions. As long as you kill the northern boar, I'm willing to follow you and be your slave, not to mention stripping your wife's soul. I don't care about any other conditions." Jian Wushuang's frown deepened. He could tell that Spirit Ancestor and the northern boar had a deep-seated hatred. Otherwise, Spirit Ancestor would not have so much killing intent toward him. He even said that he was willing to be a slave. Asa Mighty Spirit Ancestor, an expert of the 6 void realms, he was willing to be a slave only to kill the northern boar. One could imagine how much hatred he had. However, this condition was indeed too harsh in Jian Wushuang's eyes. "You can leave now. When you can kill the northern boar, you can come to me. Otherwise, you can find other experts in the 6 realms of void who are good at soul. At the very least, you can find some inferior experts. Experts in the 5 realms of void might be able to do soul peeling, but the risk is slightly higher." Spirit Ancestor smiled faintly. Jian Wushuang's heart tightened. Find another expert? Although the divine beginning realm was huge, there were only a few experts in the 6 void realms. Among them, there were only 2 experts who specialized in the soul. One was the clan leader of the 9-tailed clan, and the other was Spirit Ancestor. The clan leader of the 9-tailed clan could not help him. If Spirit Ancestor did not help him, how could he find a 3rd expert? As for Spirit Ancestor's suggestion of finding a weaker expert of the 5th void realm who was good at soul, it was even more impossible. Although it was possible, the risks involved were too great. Even if a few experts of the 5th void realm who were good at soul helped him, there was only an 80% chance that his wife's soul would not be damaged at all. Although it seemed to be a very good chance, what if it was a 1 in a million chance? After all, it was his wife who had to undergo the soul stripping, and not anyone else. Although there was only a 20% risk, Jian Wushuang did not dare to take it. Chapter 3404. Scheming. Understood. Goodbye. Jian Wushuang bowed and left. After Jian Wushuang left, the green-robed woman who had brought him into the bamboo forest spoke. "Master, as you guessed, Heavenly Sword Marquis must have come to ask you for help because of his soul." "Humph. I am in this bamboo forest and do not care about worldly affairs. I have almost no contact with the outside world, and I have nothing to do with this Heavenly Sword Marquis. He came to me naturally because he has something to ask of me. And with his status, if it was a normal matter, he could easily solve it. Even if it was a void, 6 realm expert, he should be able to invite him. But since he came to me, it means that the problem he wants me to help solve is something that ordinary void, 6 realm experts can't solve. Then, naturally, it can only be a matter of the soul." Spirit Ancestor sneered. "What Master said is extremely true. However, can the conditions set by Master be achieved by the Heavenly Sword Marquis? No matter what, he is only a saint, right?" The green-robed woman said, "It is true that he is a saint, but don't forget that when he was on the Saha Island, he was only at the saint level when he single-handedly injured the Flame Saint Master and the Sorcerer God. Of course, he used some special methods, but it still can explain a lot of problems," Spirit Ancestor said calmly. "Tvi always been very accurate in judging people. This Heavenly Sword Marquis was able to make such a big name in the divine beginning realm as a saint, so he's definitely not ordinary. His background, his talent, and his potential in the future are simply not what we can imagine. Especially just now when he faced me directly, he even dared to look directly into my eyes. During that time, I didn't feel the slightest bit of fear from him. I know that I'm best at the soul, and I can silently annihilate a cultivator's soul, but this Heavenly Sword Marquis doesn't seem to be worried at all. It's as if even if I secretly attack him, I won't be able to cause him any harm. This confidence and boldness is something that even many powerful Void, 5th stage, experts don't possess. Other than that, there's also the most important point. Which point? The green-robed woman looked over. Is the three great saint realms. They really place too much importance on him. A rare smile actually appeared on the spirit ancestor's face. The three great saint realms are such high and mighty existences. Yet, in order to kill a little fellow at the level of a saint, they actually went to such great lengths. Even the three great saint masters, and even the sorcerer god made a move. How much importance do they place on him? To be able to make the three great saint realms disregard everything, it can only mean one thing. The three great saint realms sensed an incomparably great threat from this little fellow. This threat is something that no one can compare to. Even our divine ancestor Taoist sect and the other two great freedom alliances are far from being able to force the three great saint realms to make such a big move. Even the three great saint realms are like this. That northern boar is only the blood clan's grandmaster, in front of the three great saint realms. What is he? Is that so? The green-robed woman nodded heavily. She clearly understood in her heart. Northern boar, wish I could tear him into pieces. Unfortunately, his strength and identity are all there. If I wanted to kill him, it would be too difficult. I can't ask a ruler-level expert to help. However, Heavenly Sword Marquis can be said to be my last chance. I don't hope that Sword Heavenly Marquis can rush to the Blood Clan and kill Northern Boar right now, but since he wants me to help him strip his wife's soul, then for his wife's sake, he will definitely work hard. As long as he has enough strength, he will definitely help. Spirit Ancestor smiled faintly. But Master, what if that Heavenly Sword Marquis invites another Void 6-stage expert who specializes in the soul? The green-robed woman asked with a frown. How can it be that easy? Spirit Ancestor's smile grew even wider. To strip a cultivator of his soul without harming his soul in the slightest, to allow him to have the foundation to completely recover, the ability to control his soul is extremely high. The slightest carelessness will only result in the annihilation of his soul. The person that Heavenly Sword Marquis wants to strip his soul is his wife. He absolutely does not dare to take the slightest risk. He must have absolute confidence before taking action. Although I don't care about the affairs of the world, I have a deep understanding of the experts in the divine beginning realm. In the divine beginning realm, there are only two people who have absolute confidence in doing this. One of them is me, and the other is the Grand Master of the Nine-Tailed clan. However, the Heavenly Sword Marquis has a grudge with the Grand Master of the Nine-Tailed clan for killing his daughter. The Grand Master can't help him, so I'm the only one left. That is to say, apart from me, he can't find anyone else who can help his wife complete the soul stripping without taking any risks. If he wants to hire me, he must first kill the Northern Boar. Hearing the words of Spirit Ancestor, the green-robed woman was also stunned. She did not expect that her master, who usually did not care about the affairs of the world, was actually very good at scheming. When Jian Wushuang came to visit the divine ancestor Taoist sect, her master had already planned everything. Even Jian Wushuang had to find a way to fulfill her master's conditions for his wife. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Outside the bamboo forest, Jian Wushuang walked out, but his expression was not very good. What's wrong? Did the discussion with Spirit Ancestor not go well? Demon Master Chinhua came over to greet him. It's not that it didn't go well. Spirit Ancestor agreed to help, but her conditions were a little too harsh. Jian Wushuang frowned, and then briefly recounted his conversation with Spirit Ancestor. Kill the Blood Clan Grandmaster. When he heard the conditions set by Spirit Ancestor, Demon Master Chinhua could not help but be stunned This spirit ancestor is really daring. The Blood Clan Patriarch's strength is probably not inferior to mine. Moreover, he has the entire Blood Clan behind him. Even a Saint Realm Master would not have absolute confidence in killing him. That's right, but that's spirit ancestor's only condition. It seems that there must be a great hatred between him and the clan leader of the Blood Clan. Let me ask Temple Master Bai Xing first. Jian Wushuang immediately sent a message to Temple Master Bai Xing. Soon, he received the result from Temple Master Bai Xing. No wonder spirit ancestor wanted to kill Northern Boar. It turns out that the clan leader of the Blood Clan once killed spirit ancestor's Dao partner. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, spirit ancestor once had a Dao partner, and they were very loving. However, during an experiential learning together, they encountered the Northern Boar, who had not yet become the Blood Clan Grandmaster at that time. In order to fight for the treasure, their husband was killed by the Northern Boar. Spirit ancestor was almost mad because of this. Chapter 3405. 100 Battle Platform. It was reported that after the incident, the spirit ancestor had carried out a crazy revenge on the Northern Boar and even the Blood Clan, killing many of the Blood Clan's experts. However, the Northern Boar had been living well, and in the end, the Northern Boar had become the Blood Clan's Grandmaster, although the spirit ancestor's strength had increased greatly at this time, and he had become the first ancestor in the Divine Ancestor Daoist sect. He still could not kill the Northern Boar and avenge the husband. Even after so many years, the hatred that spirit ancestor had for the Northern Boar had not weakened at all. Now we're in trouble, Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. According to Temple Master Bai Xing, among the experts in the 6 void realms known to the Temporal Temple, only the clan leader of the Nine-Tailed Clan is good at souls. If even the Temporal Temple only knows about these 2 people, I'm afraid that only these 2 people in the divine beginning realm can satisfy my requirements. The Grandmaster of the Nine-Tailed Clan can't help me. Spirit ancestor can help me, but the conditions. Jian Wushuang also felt that this matter was very tricky. If he wanted to ask spirit ancestor to help him, he had to kill the Northern Boar. But the Northern Boar was obviously not easy to kill. There's no need to rush. Senior Hemp E and I have already made an agreement. The soul stripping will definitely be carried out, but it will take some time. After all, I can't kill the Northern Boar now. However, if I can't kill it now, it doesn't mean that I won't have a chance in the future. As long as I improve my strength or break through to become a rule master, then I can join hands with Chenhua and design a plan to kill it. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He could only wait until he was stronger. It was obviously impossible to kill the Northern Boar now. The Blood Clan, one of the 4 divine clans, the Blood Clan. The lair of the Blood Clan is in the 3rd heaven. It seems that I have to go to the 3rd heaven as soon as possible after I understand the situation here, Jian Wushuang thought. The 3rd heaven was not only the lair of the Blood Clan, but also the 4 divine clans and the 3 saint realms. Previously, Jian Wushuang had many misgivings about that place and did not dare to enter it easily. But now, although he still had some misgivings, he was not as timid as before. Moreover, his parents and relatives in this life were in the 3rd heaven. Miss Shower, whom he had encountered and formed an alliance with, was also in the 3rd heaven. He had always been curious about the identity of Miss Shower. Naturally, he needed to know more about this matter. Chenhua, let's go, Jian Wushuang said. Where are we going? Demon Master Chenhua asked. Well, go to the Blood Ancestor's bloodline first and greet them, Jian Wushuang said, and the 2 flew directly toward the mountain range where the Blood Ancestor's bloodline lived. However, as soon as they arrived at the range of the mountain range, they saw a large number of people gathering in the void in front of them. There are so many people, and there are many rule masters. More than half of them are not from the blood ancestors' bloodline. What's going on? Jian Wushuang frowned and looked at the void in front of him. There were obviously three groups of people. One of them was naturally from the blood ancestors' bloodline, with ancient Wheel Master as the leader. Many Principles Masters had shown up. The other group consisted of 10 Principles Masters. Two of them were in the lead. Judging from the aura and power they emitted, they seemed to have reached the level of the fifth void realm. The two groups stood in the center, above the blood ancestors' residence. In the void, it was obvious that they were fighting each other. The last group of people stood on both sides, talking and laughing. They were obviously neutral spectators. Among these spectators, Jian Wushuang also saw the existence of Baiju. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Mr. Baiju. Jian Wushuang immediately sent a message to Baiju. After a while, Baiju had arrived in front of Jian Wushuang. My young friend, you came out from the spirit ancestor. Baiju still looked quite humble. I just came out. I wanted to say hello to the blood ancestor and leave, but I didn't expect to see this scene. Mr. Baiju, what's going on? Jian Wushuang asked. What else could it be? It's just two factions fighting for each other's interests. Besides the blood ancestors faction, the other faction is from the nether ancestors faction. During this period, the blood ancestors faction and the nether ancestors faction have been fighting over a territory. Both sides know their limits. But today, the nether ancestors faction actually came knocking on our door. Baiju said, Knock on the door. Jian Wushuang was stunned. Is not a rare thing. There are many sects in the bloodline of the divine ancestor. There are often conflicts and fights among the major sections. It's normal for them to fight each other, but as long as they know their limits and don't make a big mess, it's fine. It's also common for one sect to block the door of another, but the one being knocked on the door is, after all, the bloodline of the blood ancestor. Baiju sighed. The bloodline of the blood ancestor is one of the four major sects of the divine ancestor Taoist sect. All along, he was the only one who fought at the gate of other sections who dares to come to the residence of the bloodline of the blood ancestor. Unfortunately, the bloodline of the blood ancestor has lost several top experts in recent years. Even the blood ancestor is trapped in the universe battlefield and can't come back for the time being. The bloodline of the blood ancestor is not as powerful as before. That's why the bloodline of the nether ancestor dares to do this. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had heard about the trouble the blood ancestor's bloodline had encountered recently. However, he did not expect the trouble to be so big that the other sects had directly attacked them. Jian Wushuang was listening to Baiju's narration. At this moment, the leader of the nether ancestors faction, an expert of the 5 realms of the void, let out a low roar. Ancient Wheel, since you and I have different opinions and can't come to a conclusion, there's no need to continue arguing. Let's go to the 100 battle platforms. Yes, let's go to the 100 battle platforms. The experts of the nether ancestor faction also echoed, but when they heard the words 100 battle platforms, the Principles Masters of the blood ancestor faction, including Master Ancient Wheel, had ugly expressions and fell silent for a moment. Mr. Baiju, what is this 100 battle arena? Jian Wushuang asked. The 100 battle arena is a battlefield in the divine ancestor Taoist sect for experts to spar with each other. Under normal circumstances, if the factions in the divine ancestor Taoist sect can't come to a conclusion due to a verbal dispute, they will go to the 100 battle arena and rely on their strength to solve the problem. If the two factions go to the 100 battles platform, They will each choose 3 experts to fight in 3 matches. 2 out of 3 wins, and the one that wins will naturally get the victory. Bai Ju explained. Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood. Chapter 34:06 The Successor of the Xue Bei. No wonder the experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline kept silent when they heard about the 100-battle arena. Jian Wushuang said softly. There's nothing we can do about it. In the past, the Blood Ancestor's bloodline would never be afraid of fighting the Ghost Ancestor's bloodline, even if they went to the 100-battle arena. However, over the years, the Blood Ancestor's bloodline has lost a lot of its top-notch battle strength. Now, among the remaining experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, only the Master Ancient Wheel, who is in the 5th realm of the Void, can fight on the 100-battle arena. On the other hand, the Ghost Ancestor's bloodline alone has 2 experts in the 5th realm of the Void, and there are also experts at the peak of the 4th realm of the Void, not to mention the Ghost Ancestor, who has reached the 6th realm. It can be said that the Blood Ancestor's bloodline has almost no chance of winning if they fight on the 100 battle platforms. Bai Ju said. No chance of winning? That's not necessarily true. Jian Wushuang smiled, and then rushed forward with Demon Master Chenhua. In the void, most of the experts of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline sneered and spoke aggressively. What? Ancient Will doesn't dare to go up to the 100 battle platforms. Haha, as a member of the Blood Ancestor's lineage, could it be that he doesn't even have the courage to go up to the 100 battle platforms? No matter how much you say, it's useless. If you have the ability, go up to the 100 battle platforms and fight it out. Low shouts entered the ears of Master Ancient Wheel, and his body trembled slightly. He was also very angry. However, no matter how angry he was, he did not dare to agree to 100 battle platforms with the Nether Ancestor. At this moment, Master Ancient Wheel, isn't it just 100 battle platforms? Just agree to them. A hearty laughter rang out beside Master Ancient Wheel, and Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua appeared beside him. Mr. Heavenly Marquis. Master Ancient Wheel looked at Jian Wushuang in astonishment. The experts of the Nether Ancestor's lineage naturally saw the appearance of Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua among the 2 leading experts of the 5 void realms. One of them, a golden-haired burly man who was more than 2 meters tall, swept his gaze over and said, "Who are you?" "I'm talking to Ancient Wheel. You don't have the right to interrupt. Get out." As the golden-haired burly man let out a low growl, the aura and pressure of an expert of the 5 void realms came directly toward Jian Wushuang. The golden-haired man could tell at a glance that Jian Wushuang was just an immortal saint, so he did not take him seriously at all. Moreover, he was talking to Ancient Wheel now. Even some weaker principal's masters were not qualified to speak, but Jian Wushuang came to interrupt him. Of course, he did not want to berate and oppress him directly. However, he did not expect that the pressure of the 5th void realm pressed down on the immortal saint in front of him, but the latter still looked calm, as if he was not affected at all. At this moment, Jian Wushuang turned around and glanced at the blond man. "My name is Heavenly Sword Marquis, but who are you?" Jian Wushuang said it casually. However, when he said his name, the principals masters of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline and the surrounding cultivators who were watching were shocked. The entire void was in an uproar. "Xian, Master, you just came back from the void battleground. Maybe you don't know that Heavenly Sword Marquis, the other expert of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline, whispered something to the blond man. The blond man was also shocked when he heard it. He looked at Jian Wushuang in shock. Jian Wushuang also learned the identity and name of the blond man from the Master Ancient Wheel. "Xian, Master of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline, right? You just said that I have no right to interrupt your conversation with the Master Ancient Wheel, and you want me to get lost? Ha ha, your Xian Master is really arrogant. Now that I'm still standing in front of you, do you dare to repeat what you just said? Jian Wushuang still had a smile on his face. However, his cold gaze had already landed on the blonde-haired, muscular Xian Master, causing a chill to run down his spine. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Xian Master already knew of Jian Wushuang's fame in the Divine Beginning realm and his incredible battle achievements. Therefore, even though Jian Wushuang was only an immortal saint, Xian Master could not be as fearless as before. Xian Master's face darkened slightly when she heard Jian Wushuang's words. Then she said in a low voice, "Heavenly Sword Marquis, you have great talent and unlimited potential. Now that you're an inspector of the Temporal Temple, you're naturally qualified to stand in front of me. However, today's matter is between the bloodline of the Nether Ancestor and the bloodline of the Blood Ancestor. You can also say that it's an internal matter of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. It shouldn't have anything to do with you, right?" "Not necessarily." Jian Wushuang smiled. "To tell you the truth, when I was just a divine master, I entered the secret realm of heaven and earth left by the master of Xue Bei by chance, and received Xue Bai's legacy there. Xue Bei is one of the top experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Since I'm his successor, I'm more or less a member of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline." "You are the descendant of the Xue Bei." Xian Master looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. "What? You don't believe me? Don't you know that I came to the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect to hand over the things left by Xue Bei to the Blood Ancestor's bloodline? Many experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline know this. Although the Master of 100 Talents is not an expert of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, he was there to testify," Jian Wushuang said. Hearing this, the Master of 100 Talents stepped forward and said with a smile, "Xian Master, the Heavenly Sword Marquis is right. He did return the things left by Master Xue Bei. I saw it clearly. If you don't believe the testimony of the Master of 100 Talents, it's easy for me to prove it. Xian Master, look at this." With a thought, a figure suddenly appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Although this figure looked slightly different from Jian Wushuang, the divine power aura it emitted was exactly the same. This is the Emperor's Life Avatar. The experts of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline immediately recognized this figure. The Emperor's Life Avatar was one of the unique secret skills of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. It was very impressive. Even among the principals masters of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, very few were qualified to cultivate it. However, Master Xue Bei, who had an extremely high position in the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, naturally, he had cultivated it, since Jian Wushuang had cultivated the Emperor's Order doppelganger. There was no doubt that he had inherited the mantle of the Xue Bei. The Xian Master had nothing to say, since he was the successor of Master Xue Bei. Jian Wushuang could be considered as a member of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Therefore, he had the right to speak up and even stand up for the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. "Master Ancient Wheel, didn't the Xian Master just ask for more than 100 battle platforms? Then let's go. I want to see how powerful the bloodline of the Nether Ancestor is." Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Chapter 3407 opponents, upon hearing Jian Wushuang's words, Master Ancient Will still had some misgivings, but he still nodded and said, "Okay, let's fight in the 100 battle arena." "Ha! In that case, at this time tomorrow, the Nether Ancestor's bloodline will be waiting on the 100 battle arena for the arrival of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline." Xian Master laughed loudly. Then he turned around and left with the experts of the Nether Ancestor's bloodline. As soon as the experts of the Nether Ancestors' bloodline left, the onlookers around them naturally dispersed. However, when they left, most of them glanced at Jian Wushuang with strange expressions. They had known that Jian Wushuang was a member of the Temporal Temple and had a certain relationship with the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. They had not expected that Heavenly Sword Marquis was also involved in the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. They were also looking forward to the clash between the Blood Ancestor and the Nether Ancestor on the 100 Battle Arena tomorrow. In the Grand Hall of the Blood Ancestors' lineage, Master Ancient Will sat at the head of the table, while Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua sat at the side. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, on behalf of the entire Blood Ancestors' lineage, thank you for today's matter. Master Ancient Will stood up and thanked him. You're welcome, Master Ancient Wheel. As I said before, I am the successor of Master Xue Bei, so I can be considered as a member of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline. Now that the Blood Ancestors' bloodline is in trouble, I should naturally do my part, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. But I wonder if Master Ancient Will has any plans for tomorrow's battle on the 100 Battle Arena. Well, Master Ancient Will glanced at the principals masters of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline beside him and could not help but sigh. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, as you know, the Blood Ancestors' bloodline has lost 2 experts of the 5 Void Realms over the years, and the Blood Ancestor is trapped in a universe battlefield. He can't be compared to the Ghost Ancestors' bloodline in terms of top experts. I'm afraid the Blood Ancestors' bloodline won't be able to win the 100 Battle Arena tomorrow. The battle hasn't started yet. Master Ancient Wheel is too pessimistic. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, Master Ancient Wheel, let me ask you first. If you fight personally, can you win one of the 3 battles? This Master Ancient Will pondered for a moment. Then he said in a low voice, the Nether Ancestor is much stronger than the Blood Ancestor in terms of top experts. Not to mention the Nether Ancestor behind them, just the 2 experts of the 5 Void Realms who are here today are not easy to deal with. First is Xian Master. Although he is slightly weaker than Master Xue Bei, he is not much weaker. Moreover, he has been wandering in the universe battlefield for the past few years. He just came back recently and may have made some progress in his strength. I'm not sure if I can defeat him. What about the other one? Jian Wushuang asked. The other expert is Master Flame Mountain. He rarely goes to the universe battlefield and has been staying in the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. He has come into contact with me many times. I know his strength very well. I have fought with him before. Although he is strong, I have a 70% chance of winning against him. Master Ancient Will said confidently. Although he was also an expert of the 5th Void Realm, he was not confident in fighting Xian Master. However, he was confident in fighting Master Flame Mountain. That's enough. Jian Wushuang smiled. Master Ancient Wheel, your opponent will be Master Flame Mountain in the 3 battles tomorrow. All you have to do is to defeat him in the battles. But there are 3 battles in the 100 Battle Arena. Even if I can win 1, the Blood Ancestors' bloodline has no chance of winning the remaining 20%. Master Ancient Will frowned and said, Not necessarily. Jian Wushuang smiled. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, what do you mean? Master Ancient Will was puzzled. You don't need to know about Master Ancient Wheel for now. Anyway, as long as you win Master Flame Mountain tomorrow, leave the remaining 2 battles to me. I have a way to let the Blood Ancestors' bloodline win, Jian Wushuang said confidently. Master Ancient Wheel and the principals masters of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline looked at each other in dismay. They did not understand what Jian Wushuang was up to, but in their current situation, they had no choice but to trust Jian Wushuang. There was nothing else they could do, so they could only nod in agreement. Master Ancient Wheel and the other principal's masters knew, but Demon Master Chenhua knew very well. Therefore, after Jian Wushuang finished speaking, Demon Master Chenhua secretly sent a message to him. Heavenly Sword Marquis, do you want me to defeat Xian Master in the 100-battle arena tomorrow? Demon Master Chenhua said it casually. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. It was true that Xian Master might be very strong, but he was nothing in front of him. If he attacked, he could easily defeat Xian Master. No, that's not my real plan. Jian Wushuang smiled mysteriously. What do you mean? Are you going to fight Xian Master yourself? Demon Master Chenhua looked at him. Yes, that's what I think. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, in the Samsara Heaven Realm, got a lot of opportunities and my strength improved greatly. Now, I won't have any problem fighting an expert of the 5th Void Realm. Even if Xian Master is strong among the 5 Void Realms, I'm confident that I can fight him. As for the outcome, it's hard to say. Since the outcome is hard to predict, why don't I just defeat him? Wouldn't it be much easier? Demon Master Chenhua rolled his eyes at Jian Wushuang. No. First of all, I'm just a descendant of the Xue Bei. I haven't joined the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect yet. It's already quite difficult for me to represent the blood ancestors' lineage. You're just my guard, so it doesn't make sense in terms of identity. Jian Wushuang smiled. Also, most importantly, my strength has just improved greatly. Right now, I'm looking for a few experts at the 5th level of the void to spar with. That Master Flame Mountain's strength is too weak, and I don't think much of him. As for this revolving lord, he can be my opponent, allowing me to temper myself. Of course, if I win this battle with him, it will naturally be good. Then, there is no need for me to engage in a 3rd battle. However, even if I lose this battle, it doesn't matter. For the next 3rd battle, it won't be too late for you to make your move. In any case, the people of the Nether Ancestors' lineage don't know your identity or your actual strength. They will only treat you as a formidable master of laws. The opponent they sent to fight with you is, at most, an expert at the pinnacle of the Void 4 realms. It will be the same if you defeat him easily. This old man hopes that the so-called Nether Ancestor can make his move personally. It would be too boring if it was just against an expert at the pinnacle of the Void 4 realms. Demon Master Chenhua curled his lips and did not say anything else. Chapter 3408 on the 100-battle arena the next day. On the 100-battle arena. The 100-battle arena of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect was located in a special space-time zone. It was enormous and boundless, allowing people to wantonly engage in fierce battles inside without affecting the outside world. This was because the news of the experts of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline and Xian Master and the others of the Nether Ancestors' bloodline engaging in a battle in the void yesterday had long spread throughout the entire Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. The Blood Ancestors' bloodline and the Dark Ancestors' bloodline were both large sects of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. Naturally, their battle attracted many experts. Countless experts gathered around the 100-battle platform. There were experts from various sects, as well as many genius cultivators from the Tao Palace. At a glance, there were no less than several thousand people. Experts from the Blood Ancestor lineage and the Nether Ancestor lineage had also arrived. Ancient Wheel, I didn't expect that your Blood Ancestor lineage would have the courage to compete with my Nether Ancestor lineage on the 100-battle arena. Xian Master's somewhat wanton laughter reverberated throughout the entire void. I know that your Blood Ancestor lineage has lost quite a bit of its peak combat strength over the years. In order to prevent others from saying that my nether ancestor lineage is bullying you, I might as well tell you the names and order of the 3 people that my nether ancestor lineage will send out. There are 3 battles on the blood battle platform. In the first battle, my nether ancestor lineage will send out Master Flame Mountain. In the second battle, I will personally take action. As for the third battle, it will be taken out by my nether ancestor lineage's master. Your blood ancestor lineage can decide on your own battle order based on the names of the people that my nether ancestor lineage will send out to battle. Xian Master's tone was very arrogant. He had no intention of putting the blood ancestor clan in his eyes at all. This was very normal. After all, in the current blood ancestor clan, other than Master Ancient Wheel, there was really no one else that he could care about. After hearing Xian Master's words, Master Ancient Wheel's expression sank slightly. Of the 3 experts sent by the Dark Ancestor clan, Xian Master and Master Flame Mountain were already within everyone's expectations. As for the third battle, the Leaf Master was also an expert who had long reached the pinnacle of the 4 Void Realms. Among the Void 4 Realms, he was almost invincible. On the side of the Blood Ancestors branch, there was no one else who could contend with him except for Master Ancient Wheel himself. In other words, in these 3 matches, only Master Ancient Wheel was confident of winning 1 match against Master Flame Mountain or Master Leaf. But in the remaining 2 matches, there was almost no chance of winning. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, Master Ancient Wheel could only look at Jian Wushuang. Master Ancient Wheel, don't worry so much. You just need to defeat Master Flame Mountain, according to what you said yesterday. Now that the Nether Ancestor bloodline has taken the initiative to announce the number of experts they will send and the order of the battle, it's even more convenient. You'll be the one to fight in the first match, Jian Wushuang said. All right. Ancient Wheel Master nodded slightly. He did not hesitate too much. He directly raised his head and looked at Xian Master and the others with his sharp eyes. Xian Master, there's no need to say any more nonsense. Since our blood ancestor lineage has come to this 100-battle platform, we won't be afraid of you. Let's begin the first battle. Very good. Xian Master smiled and glanced at Master Flame Mountain. Flame Mountain, go. Master Flame Mountain smiled coldly, and his body flashed into the 100-battle arena. On the side of the Blood Ancestor, Master Ancient Will also entered the 100-battle arena. Seeing the Blood Ancestor send out Master Ancient Wheel in the first battle, the Dark Ancestor, and the surrounding experts all looked surprised, but soon everyone laughed. Looks like the Blood Ancestor's bloodline wants to rely on the Master Ancient Wheel to win one match first. The only person the Blood Ancestor's bloodline can bring out right now is this Master Ancient Wheel. And now, the first to be sent out is Master Ancient Wheel. If they win one match first, even if they lose the next two matches, they won't lose too badly. That's right. As long as the Master Ancient Will doesn't fight against the Topspin Master, he should have a great chance of winning against the other two people. And that Leaf Master is in the third match. If Master Ancient Will chooses him as his opponent and waits until the third city, he probably won't even have the chance to make a move. This is because the Blood Ancestor's bloodline has already lost the first two matches. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. The experts who were watching the battle were casually chatting and laughing, and the 100-battle platform, Master Ancient Wheel and Flame Mountain Master did not waste any more words. The moment they met, they immediately attacked. Hung. Two majestic auras erupted from the 100-battle platform almost at the same time. Regardless of whether it was the Master Ancient Wheel or Master Flame Mountain, they were all experts at the 5th level of the Void. If this level was placed in the divine beginning realm, it would be the strongest combat strength of some great powers and great sections. When such experts fought fiercely, the commotion was also shocking. Bang, 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 bang. Ear-splitting booming sounds rang out one after another. On the 100 battle platform, many spatial cracks spread out like a spider web. The entire 100 battle platform was filled with an aura that could destroy the world. At this moment, these two people were already engaged in an incomparably violent and fierce battle. The two of them were madly clashing and killing each other. Master Ancient Will grasped the three great laws of darkness, earth, and lightning at the same time. The two great principles of darkness and lightning had already perfectly fused together. That attack was incomparably violent. Along with the battle saber in his hand, he slashed out time and time again. Each slash seemed to be able to destroy the world. As for Master Flame Mountain, he grasped the three great principles of life and death, wind and fire at the same time. Within them, the two great principles of wind and fire were compatible with each other. Fire borrowed the power of the wind, and its power soared explosively. With a casual wave of his hand, a sea of fire filled the sky. He wore a scarlet red glove in his hand. With a casual palm strike, a huge sea of fire attacked Master Ancient Will. Each palm strike seemed to be able to melt the world. The attacks of these two people were incomparably wild and violent. The two of them specialized in head-on confrontations. Since this was the case, the two of them did their best to display their techniques to the fullest on the 100 battle platform. As the head-on confrontations occurred time and time again, the frightening might of the collision also caused the experts watching from outside the 100 battle arena to secretly suck in a breath of cold air. However, in this battle, those with discerning eyes could tell that in this head-on collision, Master Ancient Will had a slight advantage. Although this advantage was very small, as long as one had an advantage, it would be magnified in every head-on collision. As expected, as the number of head-on collisions increased, the subtle gap between the two sides had gradually widened. Master Flame Mountain gradually fell into a disadvantage, and even began to be suppressed by Master Ancient Will. Master Flame Mountain is going to lose. Jian Wushuang looked calmly at everything in the 100 battle arena. Not long after Jian Wushuang said this, a shocking boom was heard in the center of the 100 battle arena, and Master Flame Mountain's somewhat miserable figure also retreated. Chapter 3409 participants. Master Flame Mountain, thank you for letting me win. Master Ancient Will stopped and said, Humph, you're not as good as me, so there's nothing to be proud of. Master Flame Mountain snorted. He was very clear that he had indeed done his best, but in terms of strength, he was indeed slightly weaker than the Master Ancient Will. Ancient Will, don't be complacent. Although you have defeated me and won one battle, your blood ancestor lineage has no hope of winning the remaining 2 battles. After Master Flame Mountain finished speaking, his body flashed, and he left the 100 battle arena. He rushed toward the place where the experts of the serene ancestor lineage gathered. Master Ancient Will open his mouth and wanted to say something, but he did not say anything. He also turned around and left the 100 battle arena. When the surrounding experts saw this scene, they all sighed. As expected, the blood ancestor's bloodline won this match. It's normal to win. In terms of strength, Master Ancient Will is slightly stronger than Master Flame Mountain. Unfortunately, the 100 battle arena has 3 matches and 2 out of 3 wins. Even if the blood ancestor's bloodline relied on Master Ancient Will to win 1 match, there's no chance of winning the remaining 2 matches. The Nether ancestor's bloodline knows this, which is why They brazenly told the Blood Ancestors' bloodline about the name list and the order of the experts to fight. Just wait and see. The Blood Ancestors' bloodline won't stand a chance in the next 2 matches. I hope they don't lose too badly. Everyone chatted and laughed. Even though the Blood Ancestors' bloodline had already won 1 match, none of them were optimistic about the Blood Ancestors' bloodline. The Xian Master also laughed coldly and directly rushed toward the 100-battle arena. Ancient Wheel, just send anyone to fight with me. Master Xian sneered. The spectating experts also looked in the direction of the Blood Ancestor lineage with interest. In this second battle, who will the Blood Ancestor lineage send? Will they send Master Stabbing Heart? It shouldn't be. Among the principals masters of the Blood Ancestor lineage, besides Master Ancient Wheel, Master Stabbing Heart is the strongest. At the very least, he has reached the pinnacle of the Void 4th stage. If Ancient Wheel is a little smarter, he can send anyone to fight with Master Xian in this second battle. Even if he loses, it doesn't matter. As for Master Stabbing Heart, it's best to stay in the 3rd battle and fight with Leaf Master. That's right. Although Master Stabbing Heart's strength is a little weaker than that of Leaf Master, as long as he performs well, he can definitely fight with Leaf Master. There might even be a chance for him to win. However, if he were to send any other principal's master onto the battlefield, he would not be a match for Leaf Master. The surrounding experts who were watching the battle discussed animatedly. They had even started to choose experts for the Blood Ancestors' bloodline. In the end, most of them thought that it was best to choose a random principal's master to fight against the Xian Master in the second match, so as to deliberately lose 1 match. Then they would put the victory of this match on Master Stabbing Heart in the 3rd match. However, these people were going to miscalculate in the end. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, the second match, Master Ancient Will looked at Jian Wushuang. I'll do it this time. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Then, under the astonished gaze of Master Ancient Wheel, he directly rushed into the 100-battle arena. When Jian Wushuang appeared in the 100-battle arena, not only Master Ancient Wheel was shocked, but also the experts from the Nether Ancestors' bloodline and the surrounding spectators were completely stunned. A saint. In the second battle, the Blood Ancestors' bloodline sent an immortal saint to fight Xian Master. Even if they want to give up this battle, they should send a principal's master, right? Sending an immortal saint to fight, isn't that humiliating Xian Master? Many people had strange expressions. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. But some people recognized Jian Wushuang the moment they saw him. This man is Heavenly Sword Marquis. He is Heavenly Sword Marquis. He said yesterday that he is the descendant of the Xue Bei and a member of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline. Heavenly Sword Marquis is going to fight and challenge Xian Master? Is Heavenly Sword Marquis courting death? Although I know he is talented, he is just a saint. Those who knew Jian Wushuang's identity were stunned. Even Master Ancient Wheel was suspicious of Jian Wushuang. Sir, what is your plan? Master Ancient Wheel looked at Demon Master Qinhua, trying to get some information from him. However, Qinhua said coldly, "Don't worry, just watch." Hearing this, Master Ancient Wheel could only shake his head helplessly. He turned his eyes and looked at the 100-battle arena again. Jian Wushuang stood in front of Xian Master in the 100-battle arena. They were only a few hundred meters apart and were facing each other. Xian Master frowned when he saw the person in front of him was Jian Wushuang. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what do you mean? Ha, Xian Master, can't you see it? Since I'm here to fight you on behalf of the Blood Ancestors' bloodline. I proved yesterday that am qualified to fight on behalf of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Don't you think so? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. That's true, but you're just an immortal saint. If I can't control my power well and accidentally kill you, what should I do? Xian Master said in a low voice. Ha! You can rest assured. More than 400 years ago, even the 3 masters of the Saint Realm couldn't kill me. It would be too ridiculous for you to kill me, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Xian Master was stunned. Xian Master, you don't have to worry about anything. I also want to remind you to use all of your strength at the beginning. Otherwise, you might be defeated by me, and then your Xian Master will lose face, Jian Wushuang said. Humph, the Xian Master, have reached the peak of the 5 realms of the Void Realm. How could I be defeated by you, an immortal saint? What a joke! Xian Master snorted with disdain. Let's try it first. Jian Wushuang smiled, but his eyes suddenly became cold as the Blood Mountain Sword appeared in Jian Wushuang's hand. A chill spread in the surrounding area. Jian Wushuang moved. His body fluttered like a leaf swaying in the wind, but his speed was astonishing. In the blink of an eye, he had appeared in front of the Xian Master. Then, the Blood Mountain Sword slashed directly. This sword seemed to be light and casual, but the moment the sword light slashed out, the power of the 3 wills that Jian Wushuang had grasped burst out instantly. Together with the life divine power, it immediately revolved, making the power of this sword it instantly increased by an unknown number of times. Chapter 34, 10 Fight Xian Master. Humph! Xian Master snorted when he saw the sword coming toward him. He did not care about it. He did not even take out his weapon. He threw a punch toward the huge sword light. Bang! The sound of metal colliding rang out. Jian Wushuang's strength had reached the Xian Master's level, and his divine body was as strong as a magic weapon. His fist was more stiff than an ordinary holy treasure, but it was still inferior to a true treasure. However, it was still inferior to a true treasure. Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain Sword was his original magic weapon. As his strength increased, it continued to evolve and had reached the level of a true treasure. The sword hit the Xian Master's fist. The first burst of astonishing power almost instantly shattered the bones in Xian Master's arm. The enormous power spread through his arm and into his entire divine body. A hint of surprise flashed in Xian Master's eyes. His body suddenly jerked for a moment, and then he immediately retreated. He retreated to the edge of the 100-battle arena, and only then did Xian Master stand steadily. This power has reached the peak of the Void 4th Realm, and is not far from the Void 5th Realm. How is this kid possible? Xian Master stared at Jian Wushuang in disbelief. The experts outside the 100-battle arena also widened their eyes when they saw this scene. How could it be? What did I see? Xian Master was actually repelled by Heavenly Sword, Marquis' sword. Even if Xian Master didn't use his full strength just now, even if it was just a casual attack, an ordinary principles master wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, Heavenly Sword Marquis not only could withstand it, but his sword was also able to completely suppress Xian Master's attack. You must be joking, right? The spectators were all stunned. This Master Ancient Wheel and many experts from the Blood Ancestor's lineage were also stunned. In the 100-battle platform, Xian Master's face was still filled with shock, but gradually this shock was replaced by endless anger. As expected of the number 1 genius in the history of the divine beginning realm. A mere saint realm, but the power that burst out in an instant has reached the peak of the Void 4 realms. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I admit that I have underestimated you, but it ends here. As soon as he finished his words, the Xian master let out a fierce shout and stomped his foot. The void under the Xian master's feet immediately exploded. The power of his foot caused a small black hole to appear in the 100-battle arena. The Xian master rushed toward Jian Wushuang like a bolt of lightning. His aura surged, and a long spear appeared in his hand. The power of the 5 void realms surged toward the long spear. It was obvious that Xian master had used his full strength. Haha, good timing. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang burst into laughter. His eyes flickered with a fierce light that made people's hearts tremble. He moved, and just as he was about to make direct contact with Xian master, the supreme life-level pressure on his body burst out to the extreme. He used the heaven-cleaving skill in an instant. Peerless sword technique, Xixiang. Jian Wushuang raised his sword with both hands. With the help of the heaven-cleaving skill, a scarlet sword light that filled more than half of the 100-battle arena slashed out ferociously, crushing everything in its path. Divine destruction. The Xian master held the spear with one hand. The spear was filled with 3 types of rule power, 2 of which were perfectly combined, turning the spear into a dark purple color. The dark purple spear was like a dark purple flood dragon. It suddenly whistled out and annihilated everything. Bang! The world suddenly shook, and soon after, countless spatial cracks appeared on the 100-battle platform. Each of these spatial cracks was over 100 meters long, and they were constantly tearing space apart and reassembling. It was a scene that could destroy the world. However, this scene did not last for long. As a figure retreated explosively, the power that could destroy the world also began to slowly quieten down. Visit Re-Adel. Me for extra chapters. Haha, Xianzhu, your strength is just SOSO. A hearty laughter reverberated throughout the 100-battle arena. At the same time, it was also transmitted from the 100-battle arena, ringing in the ears of every expert watching the battle. The many experts watching the battle were completely stunned when they saw the scene in the 100-battle arena. The first collision was Xianzhu underestimating the enemy and did not use all of his strength. Even if he was forced back, it was still acceptable. But now, Xianzhu has clearly used all of his strength. But in the end, he is still at a disadvantage in a head-on collision. He is indeed at a disadvantage. I saw it clearly. How could it be? How could the attack power of Heavenly Sword Marquis be so strong? Everyone felt incredulous. Even the Xian master himself could not believe his eyes at this moment. Indeed, he had used all of his strength in the second collision, but he was still at a slight disadvantage in the collision. He could not accept the result for a moment. Only Jian Wushuang himself was not surprised by the result. Although I am only an immortal saint because of my perfect life level, my basic divine power is not weaker than the ordinary principles masters, and it is even slightly stronger. Now I have mastered 3 parts of the power of will. With the life divine power, it is equivalent to 4 parts of the power of will. As for the heaven-cleaving skill, although I haven't mastered the most powerful secret skill created by my master, at my current level, the superimposed power is much more than the power of 1 will. In total, have mastered more than 5 wills. My basic divine power is a little stronger than the Xian master, and the power of my will is also a lot stronger. In total, the power that I can unleash in an instant is much stronger than the Xian master, who is in the void 5 realms. The only regret is that the level of the absolute art created by me is a little lower. In terms of absolute art, Jian Wushuang's unparalleled sword manual had 7 sword moves that had reached the level of Principles Master. However, as Principles Masters, there were differences in the level of their absolute art. The 7 sword moves that Jian Wushuang had created were at most equivalent to the absolute art created by an expert in the 3rd realm of the void. In terms of level, they could only be considered as advanced absolute art among principles masters. As for Xian Master, he had reached the 5th realm of the void for many years, so the absolute arts created by him were naturally very powerful. For example, the spear move that Xian Master had just displayed was definitely the pinnacle absolute art of the principles masters, which was much more powerful than Jian Wushuang's Shixiang move. It was much more powerful. However, even if the absolute arts were slightly inferior with the advantage in power and power, he still had the upper hand in this collision. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 34:11 Binding, impossible. I can't believe that you, an immortal saint, can be more powerful than me. Fight. Xian Master's eyes were bloodshot, and he was full of fighting spirit. His low voice echoed throughout the 100-battle arena. At this moment, he was like a furious beast, charging out directly. Wherever he passed, his evil spirit soared to the sky. Jian Wushuang's eyes darkened, and he immediately went up to meet him. The two once again engaged in fierce battle in the 100-battle arena. This time, both of them displayed their respective skills. Xian Master held his spear with one hand. The dark purple spear let out a terrifying whistling sound, piercing through heaven and earth. The cold tip of the spear casually slashed out, easily tearing the space apart like a battle saber. The successive spikes were like numerous stars. It illuminated the void. Xian Master had been adventuring in the universe battlefield for many years and had experienced countless fierce battles and massacres. During these countless fierce battles and massacres, his spear skills had also been trained to be very terrifying, just like Jian Wushuang. Xian Master had also created a complete set of spear skills that encompassed all aspects. This spear skill allowed him to be like a fish in water in face-to-face, close combat. Swish, 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 swish. The dark purple spear attacked Jian Wushuang again and again. Jian Wushuang also brandished his Blood Mountain sword to fight or block. His swordsmanship was fully displayed at this moment. However, in such a fierce face-to-face confrontation, Jian Wushuang was gradually suppressed by the Xian Master. It was not because Jian Wushuang's swordsmanship was inferior to the Xian Master's spear technique, but because there was a certain gap in power. Haha, I see. Xian Master saw some problems during the fierce battle and immediately burst into laughter. Heavenly Sword Marquis, I thought your power had really surpassed mine. It turns out that it is not so. Although your power is not weak, it is only at the pinnacle of the Void 4 realms. At most, it can only reach the level of the Void 5 realms. The reason why you were able to fight me head-on was because you used a special method or secret skill. However, that secret technique shouldn't be able to last forever. Instead, it can only allow you to instantly burst out with even stronger power. In other words, you can only burst out with power that surpasses mine in an instant in an occasional head-on collision. However, in a head-on battle like this, you can't possibly allow your every sword strike to contain that level of power. As long as you don't activate that secret skill, your power won't be as powerful as mine, and you'll be crushed by me. Ha 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 ha. Xian Master laughed wantonly, while Jian Wushuang's face darkened slightly. He knew very well that the Xian Master was right. Once he used the heaven-cleaving skill, he could indeed make his power surpass the Xian Master's in an instant. However, the heaven-cleaving skill was not a continuous secret skill, but a secret skill that could only be used once. It could only be used once. In other words, after he used the heaven-cleaving skill once, The next move would not have the power of the heaven-cleaving skill unless he used it again. As the strongest secret skill created by his master, the heaven-cleaving skill was not completely mastered by Jian Wushuang. Even with his current ability, he could only use the heaven-cleaving skill regardless of the consequences. At most, he could only use it about 10 times. TT was equivalent to a big battle. He could only use it about 10 times before he overpowered the Xian master's swordsmanship. However, after a fierce battle, how could he only use the heaven-cleaving skill 10 times? Like now, he could not use the heaven-cleaving skill every time he clashed with the Xian master. If he did not use the heaven-cleaving skill, he would be suppressed by the Xian master. Clang! Another head-on collision. The strong recoil made Jian Wushuang stagger. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. He knew that he could not continue fighting with the Xian master. With a thought, a golden light extended from his body and instantly merged with the surrounding world. This golden light was the top-grade treasure of the universe, the Mountain River Map. Thousand Treasures Great World, Space-Time World. Jian Wushuang shouted in a low voice, and instantly, the entire arena began to change. The world transformed, and a space-time world filled with the power of space-time principles appeared in front of everyone. Visit Readle me for extra chapters. Change the world. It's the Mountain River Map. Legend has it that it's a top-tier treasure owned by the ancient seven-star mysterious sect. This is the Mountain River Map. The spectators all sighed. During the battle on Saha Island, Jian Wushuang had used the Mountain River Map. At that time, the map had helped Jian Wushuang a lot. In the end, he had even severely injured the Flame Saint Master and the Sorcerer God by relying on the secret skill of the map. The mirror image of the battle had long been spread in the divine beginning realm, so it was no secret that Jian Wushuang had the map. Now that Jian Wushuang had taken out the map, everyone sighed, but they were not too surprised. Humph, the map is a good treasure. The space-time world is also very mysterious. It is indeed helpful to an expert like you who has mastered the principles of space-time. But can a space-time world change anything? Xian Master looked at Jian Wushuang mockingly. Don't worry, it's still early. Jian Wushuang just smiled. Then he suddenly stretched out his hand and made a strange cut in the void in front of him. One finger painting the sky, space-time prison. Buzz. With that simple cut, the power of the space-time principles condensed in Jian Wushuang's body instantly surged up and swept out in all directions like a sea wave. In just a moment, it covered the entire battle platform. This is seeing the power of the space-time principles in the surroundings. The Xian Master's pupils suddenly shrank. Space-time imprisonment. How is this possible? You've only mastered the space-time principles for a short time. How could you master the space-time imprisonment so quickly? There are many things you don't know. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Of course, he could not tell the Xian Master that he had the golden sky-painting banner. However, as the space-time imprisonment took shape, he waved his big hand. Space-time restriction. Buzz. Buzz. The vast power of the space-time principles covered the surrounding area and instantly covered the Xian Master. What is this? Xian Master's face darkened. He could feel the pressure and restriction from the surrounding power of the space-time principles. This kind of restriction was like a domain, but it was more strange and difficult to resist. This was the pressure of natural laws, especially in the space-time world where the power of space-time principles was everywhere. This space-time restriction became even more tyrannical. Even someone as strong as the revolving host could not break free, and under the space-time restriction, his movements were greatly hindered. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 34, 12 Grievance. Humph! How can a mere space-time binding do anything to me? Xian Master's voice was cold. Space-time binding can't do anything to you, but it can greatly limit your speed. Jian Wushuang chuckled and disappeared from this world. The shadowless escape art of the Blood Blade Master. Xian Master's pupils shrank. He had once fought with the Blood Blade Master, so he naturally understood the shadowless escape art. However, Jian Wushuang's mastery of the shadowless escape art was obviously not as high as that of the Blood Blade Master. Now that he had used it, although his body had disappeared, Xian Master's strength could still be detected. However, he could clearly sense Jian Wushuang's location. In his perception, as soon as Jian Wushuang disappeared, he rushed toward him from the side. His speed was incredible with the support of the surrounding space-time world. Whoosh! His figure flashed, and a sword light came directly toward the neck of the Xian Master. It was the Peerless Sword Manual, Star Dream. Get lost! The Xian Master had long sensed Jian Wushuang's position, so he could easily deal with it. He blocked Jian Wushuang's sword with a casual spear. However, when the Xian Master waved the long spear in his hand, he found that the speed of his spear was obviously slower than before, and that was only the speed of his spear. Under the restriction of time and space, his speed was much slower. This kid wants to win by relying on his speed. Xian Master's face darkened. He was right. In the previous fight, Jian Wushuang knew that he would be suppressed by Xian Master. Therefore, he directly used the Mountain River map and the Heavenly Golden Banner to greatly increase his speed. At the same time, he also crazily suppressed the Xian Master's speed. In terms of speed, it was obvious that the Xian Master could not keep up with Jian Wushuang. Xian Master, you can't keep up with my speed at all. You can't even touch me. Just be my target. Jian Wushuang sneered and moved around the Xian Master like a ghost. He waved his blood mountain sword one after another. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The sword lights were incredibly fast as they rushed toward Xian Master. Although Xian Master was bound by time and space, and his speed was weakened, his reaction speed was not affected at all. When Jian Wushuang attacked, he could also immediately swing his spear to block. No matter how hard Jian Wushuang attacked, Xian Master could block them all. However, he could only block them, but he could not counterattack at all. There was nothing he could do. Jian Wushuang's speed was much faster than his current speed. Moreover, Jian Wushuang did not fight head-on with him. Instead, he trembled from the surroundings and performed a sword attack. After being blocked by the Xian Master, he immediately retreated. He performed a second sword attack and did not give him a chance to counterattack. Just as Jian Wushuang said, the Xian Master was now like a living target. He could only block Jian Wushuang's attacks time and time again, but he could not fight back at all. Too fast. Heavenly Sword Marquis' speed is really too fast. The speed that Heavenly Sword Marquis burst out with now, with the support of the surrounding space-time world, may not have reached the level of the 6th Void Realm, but it may have already reached the peak of the 5th Void Realm. Originally, although this level of speed was faster than the Xian Master could more or less keep up. Unfortunately, the Xian Master was restrained by space-time, and his speed was greatly reduced. With this addition and subtraction, their speed was pulled apart. I feel like the Xian Master is like a target. The audience outside the 100 Battle Arena sighed at the scene. Although he was stronger than his opponent, he could only defend passively and had no chance to fight back. Xian Master felt very aggrieved. Such an aggrieved fight, especially when his opponent was only an immortal saint, made the Xian Master more and more furious while blocking Jian Wushuang's attack. Finally, his anger completely exploded. Bastard! Heavenly Sword Marquis, you're going too far. Xian Master roared. A large amount of blood chi surged from his body, and his aura suddenly soared. His eyes were scarlet, and a huge phantom beast appeared out of thin air behind him. It was as if it had just crawled out of hell. This scene shocked all the experts watching the battle on the 100 battle platform. Xian Master is using his ultimate move. Visit Readel me for extra chapters. This move is Xian Master's strongest ultimate move, and can also be considered one of Xian Master's trump cards. It is said that even if Xian Master used this move, it wouldn't be easy. Unless it was necessary, he wouldn't use it so easily. Heavenly Sword Marquis actually forced Xian Master to this extent. The experts outside the 100 battle arena were shocked by Xian Master's violent aura. Heavenly Sword Marquis, Xian Master's eyes were as wide as copper bells. His eyes were bloodshot. With a roar, he managed to break free from the space-time constraints and reached the peak of his speed again. He was even faster than his peak speed. He caught up with Jian Wushuang in an instant and even slightly exceeded the speed that Jian Wushuang had burst out. Xian Master also appeared directly in front of Jian Wushuang. In ultimate move, kill. Xian Master held the spear with both hands. The dark purple spear burst out with a monstrous light, and the entire body of the spear was enlarged instantly. A shocking, destructive aura burst out from the spear, and then it pierced out directly. Boom! The space was directly pierced through, and a huge dark tunnel appeared. A large number of spatial cracks spread wantonly. Jian Wushuang stood at the end of the spear and watched the spear attack. The terrifying pressure contained in the spear made Jian Wushuang's heart jump, but he was not afraid at all. When the spear tip was about to appear in front of him, the supreme life-level pressure on his body burst out again. The heaven-cleaving skill was also used again. Peerless sword technique. Shi Xiang Ti was also the most powerful move of Shi Xiang. Although Jian Wushuang knew that his sword was not as powerful as the spear technique of the Xian Master, once he used the heaven-cleaving skill, his attack power would reach a whole new level. The scarlet sword light collided with the world-destroying spear. TT was a head-on collision. Two waves of power suddenly exploded. Boom! The sky collapsed, and the earth cracked. The space around the 100 battle platform was on the verge of collapse, as if it could not withstand the two waves of power. Fortunately, the two waves of power did not last long. The 100 battle platform was able to withstand the two waves of power in the end. And the 100 battle platform, the overwhelming power began to slowly dissipate. When the power completely dissipated, everyone immediately saw the scene inside. On both ends of the 100 battle arena, Jian Wushuang and Xian Zhu were still standing steadily, with a faint smile on Jian Wushuang's face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 34:13 Draw. Xian Master, your attack just now was really powerful. Not only did it defeat my swordsmanship, but some of the power also spread to my divine body, slightly damaging it. It's really impressive, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Jian Wushuang said it casually, but Xian Master's face turned a little ugly after hearing it. I used nearly 20% of my divine power to perform my strongest move, but it only slightly damaged his divine body. Slightly damaged was not even a large amount of damage, not to mention that his divine body directly collapsed. Under normal circumstances, the opponent's divine body directly collapsed before he lost the battle on the 100 battle arena. Obviously, he was far from reaching that level. Xian Master, I'm very curious. How many more times can you use that move? Jian Wushuang smiled strangely, but his figure appeared again. With the support of the space-time world, Jian Wushuang's speed was displayed again. Damn it! Xian Master cursed In his heart, facing Jian Wushuang's speed, he could only become Jian Wushuang's living target again under the restriction of space-time. The previous scene quickly appeared again. Outside the 100-battle arena, the experts watching the battle looked at each other in dismay. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. This heavenly sword Marquis actually forcefully withstood Xian Master's strongest move, and he wasn't injured at all. My soul senses are very clear. In order to execute that move, Xian Master used nearly 20% of his divine power. However, after the collision, that heavenly sword Marquis divine body was only slightly damaged, but his divine power aura didn't weaken at all. This is insane. Heavenly sword Marquis is too insane. Even Xian Master's strongest move could not defeat Heavenly Sword Marquis. Then this battle. Everyone stared at the scene in the 100-battle arena. Xian Master had already used his strongest move, but it did not cause any harm to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang still relied on his speed to crazily attack Xian Master. Xian Master could only passively defend. He had become a living target. However, although the Xian Master could not fight back, he could still block Jian Wushuang's attack. Time continued to pass. During this period, the Xian Master was angry and once again used his strongest move. However, the result was the same. Jian Wushuang could completely block his strongest move with his heaven-cleaving skill, then he continued to suppress him. He used his strongest move twice in a row, but it did not cause any harm to Jian Wushuang. Xian Master lost his temper. "Master, ancient master, it's been 15 minutes, Master Ku said. 15 minutes? Master Ancient Wheel was overjoyed. In the next moment, he rushed toward the 100-battle platform. The experts around him, including the Nether Ancestor's bloodline, did not stop him. "That's it, you two." Master Ancient Wheel appeared in the center of the 100-battle arena. A burst of divine power separated the two in the fierce battle. "Master Ancient Wheel, what's wrong? What are you doing here?" Jian Wushuang looked at Master Ancient Wheel in surprise. He was a little displeased. After entering the Samsara Heaven realm, his strength had greatly increased. He was looking for a decent opponent to fight. Xian Master had just become his opponent. He was also excited about the fierce battle between him and Xian Master. Jian Wushuang was naturally unhappy that Master Ancient Will had stepped in to stop their battle. It was as if he had read Jian Wushuang's mind. Master Ancient Will said with a wry smile, "Mr. Heavenly Marquis, the 100-battle arena has long made a rule that if the two sides fight for more than 15 minutes, and there is no winner, then the battle will be considered a draw." A draw. Jian Wushuang was stunned. Then he looked at the Xian Master in front of him and found that the Xian Master was looking at him with a gloomy face and gnashing his teeth. However, the Xian Master had already put his precious spear back into his interspatial ring. Obviously, he did not intend to continue the fierce battle with Jian Wushuang. He was not stupid. He knew that if he continued to fight, he would be suppressed by Jian Wushuang's speed. Naturally, he did not want to continue to be so sullen. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang felt helpless. If he could, he wanted to continue fighting with the Xian Master, but apparently, the latter did not have such an idea. Visit Readle me for extra chapters. Forget it, let's call it a draw. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and was ready to rush out of the 100-battle arena. But Master Ancient Wheel was already overjoyed. In this battle of the 100-battle arena, if it was just the strength of his blood ancestor's bloodline, he had almost no chance of winning against the spirit ancestor's bloodline. Except for him, who had won one battle, the remaining two battles were almost certain to be lost. But now, because of Jian Wushuang, the second battle ended in a draw. This meant that even if the blood ancestor's bloodline lost the third battle, the battle of the 100-battle arena would be one win, One loss and one draw both sides drew. Master Ancient Wheel. And the experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline were already very happy to be able to draw with the Ghost Ancestor's bloodline. Outside the 100-battle arena, many experts were sighing. No one had expected that the second battle would end in a draw. Moreover, Xue Master, an extremely powerful expert of the 5 Void Realms, could not win against Heavenly Sword Marquis, who was only at the Immortal Saint realm. Moreover, he had been suppressed by Jian Wushuang almost the entire time. Jian Wushuang's strength completely shocked them and refreshed their understanding of the Immortal Saint. In particular, many of the spectators were Immortal Saint existences. A huge wave of emotions rose in their hearts. They had never thought that the Immortal Saint could be so strong. Amidst the exclamations, the battle had to continue. After all, it was only 20% of the fierce battle. Xue Master, the third battle has begun. Ancient Will Master smiled. The second battle had ended in a draw. No matter what, this battle had to end in a draw. This made Master Ancient Will feel extremely confident. On the other hand, the expressions of the experts from the Nether Ancestor's lineage were not very good. Hearing Master Ancient Will's words, Xue Master took a deep breath and looked at someone beside him. Leaf Master, go. Okay. Wearing a dark red robe, the bewitching Leaf Master appeared in the 100-battle arena. His bewitching eyes swept over the experts of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Who will you send to fight me in the third battle? Hearing this, the principals masters of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline looked at each other in dismay. Among them, except for Master Ancient Wheel and Jian Wushuang, no one was a match for Leaf Master. Master Stabbing Heart, the only one whose strength was close to Leaf Master, moved and said, Ancient Wheel, let me fight. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip, you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 3414 was defeated in an instant. Okay. Master Ancient Will nodded slightly. There's no need for too much pressure. Just use all your strength. It's best if you can defeat Leaf Master. Even if you lose, it's not a big deal. Anyway, in this battle, the Blood Ancestor lineage can at least tie with Serene Ancestor. I understand. Stabbing Heart Master understood and was about to go forward, but Jian Wushuang waved his hand and stopped him. Stabbing Heart Master, I won't bother you to fight in the third battle. Jian Wushuang smiled. Stabbing Heart Master was stunned. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, Master Ancient Will also looked over in confusion. I want the Blood Ancestor's bloodline to win this battle. It's not as simple as a draw. Jian Wushuang smiled and then glanced at Demon Master Qinhua. Qinhua, you go. Demon Master Qinhua raised his eyebrows and appeared in the 100-battle arena. His appearance immediately attracted many curious gazes. Although there were many experts present, no one could recognize Demon Master Qinhua. Who are you? Leaf Master also looked at Demon Master Qinhua with a frown. Ancient Wheel, who is this person? Is he an expert under the Blood Ancestor's bloodline? Xue Master asked directly. He is my personal guard. He has nothing to do with the Temporal Temple. He is a member of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline, since he follows me. It shouldn't be a problem for me to send him to fight, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Guard. Xue Master narrowed his eyes. If he was really Jian Wushuang's guard and had nothing to do with other sects, then he could be considered a member of the Blood Ancestor's bloodline. Humph, although I don't know who he is, it's impossible for the Blood Ancestor's faction to defeat Leaf Master with him. Xue Master snorted. He said in a low voice, Leaf, don't hold back. Try to be as clean as possible. I know. Leaf Master nodded slightly. As soon as he finished his words, a surging aura swept out from his body. This aura was incomparably powerful. In an instant, it had completely exceeded the limits of a Void 4th level expert, directly reaching the level of the Void 5th level. Void 5th level. This is the aura pressure that only Void 5th level experts have. Even though Leaf Master has long reached the pinnacle of the Void 4th level, and rarely has an opponent among the Void 4th level, it is impossible for him to display this level of aura, unless he broke through. Heavens, Leaf Master has actually broken through to the 5th level of the Void. Outside the 100 battle platform, the many experts watching the battle were all greatly shocked. The 4th level of the Void and the 5th level of the Void were only one step apart, but during this period of time, an entire portion of the power of Will had appeared. This Leaf Master has actually broken through. Master Stabbing Heart's eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with shock. He knew very well that if Leaf Master was only at the pinnacle of the Void 4 realms, he might have a chance to fight with his strength. But now that Leaf Master had made a breakthrough, he had no chance to fight back. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, this Master Ancient Will looked at Jian Wushuang. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. Since Jian Wushuang had said so, Master Ancient Will naturally had nothing to say. In the 100 battle platform, the majestic divine power aura of Leaf Master had completely suppressed Demon Master Qinhua. However, in the face of this divine power aura's suppression, he still appeared as calm as a breeze. It was as if he was not affected in the slightest. And the truth was as such. A mere Void 5th level aura pressure was nothing to him. It was only because his method of concealing his aura was too brilliant that the people around him did not know his actual strength. If people knew that he was a peak Void 6th level expert, then they would not be surprised by his current expression. Master Ancient Will has instructed me to be more efficient. Hence, I'm sorry. After Leaf Master spoke, large amounts of dark clouds rose up from his body. His body also completely turned into darkness. The huge dark clouds covered the sky and earth, directly extending toward Demon Master Qinhua. The dark clouds contained an astonishing might. No matter who it was, as long as they were covered by the dark clouds, they would all face the storm of attacks from Leaf Master. Visit Re-Adel me for extra chapters. However, just as the dark cloud appeared in front of Demon Master Qinhua and was about to cover him, Demon Master Qinhua slowly raised his hand. He simply raised his hand and casually slapped the dark cloud, as if he was swatting a fly. Pa! The dark cloud directly shattered, revealing Leaf Master's figure. At this moment, Leaf Master's expression changed drastically. His divine body was being suppressed by a terrifying power. He did not have the ability to resist. He fell to the ground. In just a moment, his body was slammed onto the ground of the 100 battle platform, and a huge hole appeared on the ground. Silence! The entire 100 battle platform, both inside and outside, was extremely quiet, except for Jian Wushuang. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in a daze. Leaf Master had already reached the peak of the 4 Void realms. His battle strength was so strong that he could even fight with an expert of the 5 Void realms. Now that he had broken through to the 5 Void realms, his battle strength was even more amazing. To a certain extent, he had already surpassed Xian Master. That was right. In terms of strength, the current Leaf Master was actually slightly stronger than Xian Master. It was precisely because of this that the Nether Ancestor lineage had arranged for him to be in the final battle just to be safe. However, it was precisely because of this formidable strength that Leaf Master fought with this person who appeared out of nowhere and acted as a guard by the side of Heavenly Sword Marquis. In the end, everyone was unable to react in time. Leaf Master had already been defeated. A crushing defeat. He was utterly defeated. There was no room for struggle. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Void 6 realms. Master Ancient Wheel was the first to exclaim. As his voice rang out, the entire 100 battle platform was instantly in an uproar. Void 6 realms. The person sent by the Blood Ancestor's lineage is a peak expert of the Void 6 realms. Yes, it's the 6th level of the Void. Only existences at the 6th level of the Void can defeat the Leaf Master with a single move. The 6th level of the Void. This is the same level as the Blood Ancestor and the Serene Ancestor. But in the end, his identity is only that of the Heavenly Sword Marquis guard. The 6th level of the Void can be a guard. Everyone felt their minds go blank. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 34, 15 Serene Ancestor. In the 100 battle platform, Leaf Master had risen up again. However, at this moment, his face was extremely unsightly. He looked at Demon Master Chinhua with a hint of fear. He was very clear about what he had encountered in that instant. He had been forcefully crushed by his opponent's power. His divine body was instantly damaged by more than 80%. That kind of absolute crushing power. He had only experienced it in the hands of his master. I only used less than 70% of the power of that slap. Just now, Demon Master Chinhua said coldly. 70% of the power? Leaf Master's body trembled. He had only used less than 70% of the power to destroy his ultimate move with a single slap. At the same time, it had damaged more than 80% of his divine body. If the other party had used all of his power, would not he be able to directly destroy his divine body with a single slap? The 6 realms of the Void, and am afraid that they are very powerful among the 6 realms of the Void. Am afraid that they are not much weaker than my master. Leaf Master exclaimed in his heart. At the same time, he also understood that he had been completely defeated in this battle. He was completely defeated. Leaf Master did not feel dissatisfied or unsatisfied. He bowed slightly to Demon Master Chinhua, then walked out of the 100 battle arena and returned to Xian Master and the others. Xian Master, the result of the 3rd battle is obvious. The bloodline of the Blood Ancestor should have won the battle in the 100 battle arena, right? Jian Wushuang said with a faint smile. Xian Master's face was extremely ugly. He had never expected that the guard of Heavenly Sword Marquis was such a powerful expert of the 6th realm of the Void. They had thought that they would win the 3rd battle, but they had lost. And now that the 3 battles had ended, the Blood Ancestor's lineage had won 2 and drawn 1. Naturally, they had won. Although Xian Master was unwilling, he could no longer change this solution. But just as Xian Master was about to open his mouth and admit that the Blood Ancestor's lineage had won, hold on. A grand voice suddenly transmitted over from the Void, not far away. This voice seemed to contain a special magic power. As soon as it was transmitted to the 100 battle arena, it caused the hearts of many experts on the 100 battle arena to move. Subsequently, all gazes turned toward the source of the voice. Over there, a middle-aged man dressed in black tight clothes, short hair, and stubble slowly walked over. His footsteps were very light and very strange. Every step he took caused a black vortex to appear in the void below him. As the black vortexes appeared one after another, this middle-aged man's figure finally arrived on the 100 battle platform. Upon seeing him, the many powerful warriors of the Nether Ancestors' lineage revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Lord Nether Ancestor. Xian Master, Master Flame Mountain, and the other principals, masters of the Nether Ancestors' lineage, all bowed and greeted him with extremely respectful voices. Master. Leaf Master also called out respectfully. As for the surrounding powerful warriors who were watching the battle, when they saw him, they all revealed looks of reverence. Almost all of them also bowed to show their respect. Serene Ancestor was one of the 9 ancestors of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. Furthermore, he was one of the top 3 strongest experts among the 9 ancestors. The Serene Ancestor lineage he established was also one of the 4 great sects of the Heavenly Ancestor lineage. It was named after the Blood Ancestor lineage at its peak. And Serene Ancestor had another identity. He was Leaf Master. For example, when Leaf Master fought with Demon Master Chenhua on the 100 Battle Arena, the first technique he used was taught by Serene Ancestor. Leaf Master, I saw your battle just now. Serene Ancestor spoke. Master, it's my fault for being useless. Leaf Master could not help but lower his head. It's not that I'm useless. It's true that the opponent is too strong. For experts at the 6th level of the void, not only did they gain an additional portion of their will, they also fused 3 different types of law energy at the same time. You have to know that when the principle's energy is fused, the power unleashed by fusing 2 different types of principle's energy and 3 different types of law energy are worlds apart. Serene Ancestor calmly spoke. Naturally, if you are able to comprehend the secret art that this seat imparted to you to a deeper level, reaching the 3rd level, you would still be defeated when facing him. However, you wouldn't be defeated in such a miserable manner. Your disciple is enlightened. Leaf Master respectfully acknowledged, not daring to refute. You can leave first. Serene Ancestor waved his hand. Leaf Master and the experts from Serene Ancestor's lineage immediately retreated to the side. Serene Ancestor's eyes turned towards Deep Fire Devil Master, who had already exited the 100 Battle Arena. It's one thing for a peak expert at the 6th level of the void to be willing to serve as a guard for an immortal saint, but you even intentionally concealed your strength to bully a 5th level of the void. Sir, aren't you a little too careless with your status? The Nether Ancestor spoke. However, his voice was ice cold. Upon hearing the Nether Ancestor's words, the surrounding people felt their hearts turning cold. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. This Serene Ancestor is indeed just like the rumors say. He is truly protective of his own shortcomings. His own disciple was defeated by a 6th level void martial artist who concealed his strength. It's normal for Serene Ancestor to feel indignant. It's normal for him to be protective of his own shortcomings. Now, let's see how the Blood Ancestor lineage, Heavenly Sword Marquis, and his guards will deal with Serene Ancestor. Many people were already discussing this matter in secret. In the face of Serene Ancestor's somewhat cold gaze, Demon Master Chenuo's expression did not change in the slightest. He said indifferently, "This old man will serve as the guard of Heavenly Sword Marquis. That is something that we are willing to do. It has nothing to do with you, Serene Ancestor. As for saying that this old man deliberately concealed his strength to bully your disciple, perhaps I do not pay attention to my status, but it is still much better than a 5th level void realm expert of your Serene Ancestor lineage fighting with an immortal saint and ending in a draw, right? You really know how to do it, but I don't know if your strength is as good as your mouth," Serene Ancestor said coldly. "You can try. It's been a long time since I've loosened my muscles and bones," said Demon Master Chenhua calmly, without any fear. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang only smiled faintly. Although Serene Ancestor was very famous and powerful, Demon Master Chenhua was even more powerful. You should know that you Ancestor had reached the peak of the 6 void realms and was very close to the level of Elder Darkbone. In Jian Wushuang's opinion, if Serene Ancestor really fought, he would be asking for humiliation. As expected, what happened next proved Jian Wushuang's guess. In the void, the two sides did not even enter the 100-battle arena, but Serene Ancestor and Demon Master Qinhua had already fought. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Serene Ancestor's body shook, and a large amount of dark clouds rose up. Serene Ancestor's body also turned into darkness and merged into the dark clouds. It was exactly the same as the skill of Leaf Master. However, when Serene Ancestor used the dark clouds, the color and thickness of the dark clouds were obviously much denser, and the area covered by the dark clouds was much wider. In terms of power, this dark cloud was at least dozens of times stronger. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 34:16. He was ashamed of his inferiority. The dark clouds completely covered the void, causing the entire world to become heavy. This is the true power of this move. Leaf Master looked at the dark clouds in front of him and compared it to the one he had used previously. He was astonished in his heart, and his gaze was incomparably hot. This move originated from his master, and was one of his master's ultimate moves. Now that it was being used by his master, Serene Ancestor, its power was naturally world-shaking. Faced with this move, even Demon Master Qinhua did not dare to casually block it like before. Instead, he wore a pair of golden red gloves that emitted a majestic, destructive aura. With a clench of his hands, a world-shaking might instantly gathered in his palms. Following that, boom! A brutal punch directly smashed out. Like a bolt of golden lightning, it instantly collided with the dark clouds. The dark clouds slightly lasted for a moment, and the middle part immediately dissipated. However, the dark clouds did not completely disperse. However, at this moment, a large amount of gray light surged out from Demon Master Chenuo's body. This gray light was vast and mighty, like a vast gray ocean. Spreading out in the blink of an eye, it collided with the dark cloud. Walala! Two earth-shattering powers charged madly. Regardless of whether it was Demon Master Qinhua or Serene Ancestor, their figures had already completely merged into these two powers. The spectators around had long retreated. They watched the scene in the center from a distance and felt the two powers that made them feel suffocated. However, the impact of the two waves of terrifying power did not last long. One of the waves of power had already begun to retreat. The one who was retreating was naturally Serene Ancestor. The huge dark cloud that covered Serene Ancestor was already retreating under the impact of the gray light. The entire world was gradually covered by the gray ocean. As for that dark cloud, it could barely maintain a very small area. Moreover, it was maintaining it with great difficulty, as if it was in danger of being completely annihilated at any moment. At this point, the outcome of the battle between the two had clearly been decided. So, the power that filled the sky dissipated, and the figures of Demon Master Qinhua and Serene Ancestor reappeared in front of everyone. He actually used the god power of three principles to such an extent. He even faintly added fourth principle's energy. Impressive! Serene Ancestor's expression was solemn as he stared at Demon Master Qinhua. This seat has roamed the divine beginning realm and even roamed the universe battlefield for a very long time. I have encountered countless experts, but among these experts, if we were to compare them with the level of the 6 void realms, there are absolutely no more than 10 who can match you. And within the divine beginning realm, there are no more than 3 who can match you at the 6 void realms. There was indeed a hint of surprise in Serene Ancestor's words. One had to know that he was a supreme existence who had lived for a very long time. His knowledge was also very vast. He had roamed the universe battlefield for a very long time and had encountered countless experts. However, the fact that Demon Master Chenhua could be ranked in the top 10 among the 6 Void Realm experts he had met was already very impressive. As for what he said at the end, there were no more than 3 6 Void Realm experts in the Divine Beginning Realm that could match Fiend Master Sinking Fire. This was also a fact. After all, Demon Master Chenhua had indeed walked very far at the level of the 6th Void Realm. He was only a tiny bit away from the pinnacle. Your Excellency's strength is monstrous, but I wonder how should I address you? Serene Ancestor looked over. Chenhua. Demon Master Chenhua said. Chenhua, could it be that genius elder from the Amethyst Demon Sect from 200 million years ago? Serene Ancestor's expression changed. He had also heard of Demon Master Chenhua's name back then. It's me. Demon Master Chenhua did not deny it. Haha, that's true. Serene Ancestor laughed. It has been nearly 200 million years since the Amethyst Demon Sect was destroyed, and you have also disappeared for so many years. I never expected that your strength would reach such a level after your appearance. You are truly impressive. You are indeed worthy of being called a genius elder. You are not bad either. Among the 6 Void Realms, you can be considered at the peak level. Ordinary 6 Void Realms are not your match. Serene Ancestor raised his brows. Following that, he said grandly, the Serene Ancestor faction has lost the battle on the 100 battle arena. Our Serene Ancestor faction will not have any complaints. And according to the rules, the victor is the king. The competition between our Serene Ancestor faction and the Blood Ancestor faction will be decided by the Blood Ancestor faction. The experts under our Serene Ancestor faction are not allowed to have any disputes with the Blood Ancestor faction because of this territory. Yes, visit Readel, me for extra chapters. As you command, Lord Serene Ancestor. Many experts from Serene Ancestor's lineage immediately respectfully received the order. Demon Master Chenhua. Serene Ancestor looked at Demon Master Chenhua again. Although I didn't feel lucky after the battle with you today, I have gained quite a bit. Furthermore, it's rare for me to meet an expert like you. Why don't we go to my Serene Cloud Pavilion and have a good exchange? In the face of Demon Master Chenhua, Serene Ancestor no longer had any airs. Now, he even looked forward to interacting with Demon Master Chenhua and felt his heart ache. However, Demon Master Chenhua pondered for a moment before shaking his head. No need. I am now Heavenly Sword Marquis Guard. I will go wherever Heavenly Sword Marquis goes. Serene Ancestor was stunned. Only then did he recall the identity of Demon Master Chenhua and could not help but sigh. Demon Master Chenhua, for a peak expert like you to be willing to be a guard for a little fellow at the level of a saint, this truly makes me feel incredulous. Even though this little fellow has great potential, it is not to the extent of letting you be like this. This is a private agreement between me and Heavenly Sword Marquis. It has nothing to do with you, Serene Ancestor, Demon Master Chenhua said directly. Serene Ancestor shrugged when he heard this and did not say anything else. Since that's the case, I'll have another chance to chat with you next time. With that said, Serene Ancestor turned around and left. The experts of Serene Ancestor's lineage naturally left as well. With the departure of the members of Serene Ancestor's lineage, the battle on the 100 battle platform came to an end. However, although the battle had ended, the experts who took the battle seriously could not calm their hearts for a long time. Most of them were still filled with shock and shock. This shock naturally came from Heavenly Sword Marquis and Demon Master Qinhua. First of all, Jian Wushuang had defeated Xian Master with his Saint Realm cultivation, which was already unbelievable to them. Then, the appearance of Demon Master Qinhua, a top expert, actually made even Serene Ancestor feel inferior. More importantly, how could such a super expert, who had reached the peak of the 6th realm of the Void Realm, be just a guard by Jian Wushuang's side? This fact was really hard to accept. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 34, 17 3rd, Heaven, within the Grand Hall of the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline. Lord Heavenly Marquis, Lord Qinhua, it's all thanks to the two of you that our Blood Ancestors' Bloodline was able to win in the 100-battle arena. We even took back the territory that originally belonged to our Blood Ancestors' Bloodline from the hands of the Dark Ancestors' Bloodline. I, Ancient Wheel, represent the entire Blood Ancestors' Bloodline here. Thank you both. Thank you. The other principals, Masters of the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline, were also extremely grateful. Master Ancient Wheel and everyone else, you're too kind. Jian Wushuang smiled. As I said before, in the descendant of the Xue Bei, so I can barely be considered as a member of the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline. If the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline is in trouble, I'll naturally help them if I can. In any case, you have indeed helped the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline a great deal this time. It's a pity that the Blood Ancestor has been trapped in the universe battlefield all these years. The Blood Ancestors' Bloodline is not in a good situation now. I'm afraid that there's nothing I can repay you for now. I can only wait for the opportunity to repay you in the future. Master Ancient Will continued. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang could only shake his head and smile. Then he said seriously, after the battle on the 100-battle arena, the Nether Ancestors' Bloodline was also defeated by the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline. Moreover, I have already said that we are on the same side as the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline. With the presence of Qinhua, I believe that the other sects of the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect won't dare to challenge the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline as recklessly as before. Of course, Master Ancient Will also smiled. After this battle, Mr. Heavenly Marquis, you and Lord Qinhua are all on the side of the Blood Ancestor lineage. In terms of top-tier combat power, even the Serene Ancestor lineage can only retreat when facing the Blood Ancestor lineage. How would the other factions dare to attack? Moreover, Lord Blood Ancestor is only trapped in the universe battlefield, not fallen. The other factions already have a lot of scruples. After this battle, I dare say that the Blood Ancestor lineage will be able to regain its former dominance. That's good. Then I can leave in peace, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Mr. Marquis, are you leaving? Master Ancient Will immediately looked over. Yes, I came to the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect to meet your spirit ancestor, in addition to fulfilling Xue Bai's task. Now that I've met the spirit ancestor and obtained the answer, I've also completed Xue Bai's task. Naturally, I have to leave, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Seeing this, Master Ancient Wheel and the others felt a little regretful, but they could not persuade him to stay. Mr. Heavenly Marquis, this is my message token. Since you've said yourself that you're a member of the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline, if you encounter any trouble in the future, you can ask for it. The Blood Ancestors' Bloodline will do its best. Master Ancient Will handed his message token to Jian Wushuang. All right, if that happens, I won't stand on ceremony. Jian Wushuang smiled and took the token. Then he left with Qinhua. Soon, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua left the Divine Ancestor Taoist sect. Although he had solved a lot of trouble for the Blood Ancestors' Bloodline before he left, and did not go against Xue Bai's request, Jian Wushuang's heart was still heavy. After all, he did not get what he wanted from Spirit Ancestor. If he wanted Spirit Ancestor to help him, he had to think of a way to kill the Grand Master of the Blood Clan. This matter was very tricky for him now. Heavenly Sword Marquis, where do you plan to go next? Demon Master Qinhua looked at him. To the third heaven, Jian Wushuang said directly. He was now Jian Wushuang's guard, so he naturally had to follow Jian Wushuang wherever he went. The third heaven, that's the nest of the three saint realms, and it's the place with the strongest power of the will of heavenly Tao. Demon Master Qinhua frowned. Why? Are you afraid? Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua with interest. You're a saint, and you don't even fear the three saint realms. I'm just one step away from the pinnacle of the six void realms. So why should I be afraid? Demon Master Qinhua said. That's it. Let's go. Jian Wushuang smiled and soon left with Demon Master Qinhua for the third heaven, the core of the divine beginning realm. The third heaven was the third heaven and earth. Visit Readel, me for extra chapters. The quality of the experts in the third heaven and earth was getting higher and higher, regardless of whether it was the cultivation environment or the quality of the experts. For example, in the first heaven, peak saints and invincible saints could almost do whatever they wanted, and principles masters were super existences who could establish sections. For example, some of the most powerful forces in the first heaven, many of them did not have principles masters now, and only had the heaven and earth secret realms. However, in the second heaven, although peak saints and invincible saints were also top-tier experts, they were far from the level where they could do whatever they wanted. After all, there were quite a few principles masters in the second heaven. For the major factions in the second heaven, like Xiaoyao Mansion, Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley, and Samsara Heaven Sect, which one of them did not have a dozen or so principles masters. Some of them were even as powerful as Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley. And there were even 6 Void Realm experts, even the Old Valley Master, who was feared by the Masters of the Saint Realm and the Masters of the Ruler Realm, existed. It could be said that the level of cultivators at the second heaven was already very high. However, the second heaven still could not be compared to the third heaven. In fact, the gap between them was even greater than usual. The third heaven was where the core experts of the divine beginning realm gathered. It was also where some of the top overlords of the divine beginning realm gathered. For example, the 3 supreme saint realms of the divine beginning realm were in the third heaven. In addition, there were the 4 great divine races and the 8 directions celestial sect, which had an extremely deep foundation. All of them were the top experts of the divine beginning realm. Just take the 8 directions celestial sect, which was at the lowest level. Even though it was only at the lowest level in the third heaven, its strength and foundation were even stronger than the Supreme Emotion Forgetting Valley if it was not for that Old Valley Master. As for the 4 divine clans and the 3 saint realms, they were even stronger. This was the gathering place of experts and a paradise for them. After coming out of the divine Ancestor Taoist sect, Jian Wushuang teleported to the third heaven with Demon Master Qinhua at the fastest speed. As soon as he reached the third heaven and stepped into the third heaven, Jian Wushuang immediately had a special feeling. This feeling did not come from the surrounding environment, but from the will, the power of the will of heaven. Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked at the sky above. Although he knew that there was the power of the will of heaven in the first heaven and the second heaven, his feeling was very vague. But when he reached the third heaven, the feeling was very clear. Not only could he sense the existence of the will of the heavenly Tao, the will of the heavenly Tao could also sense him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 3418, Heavenly Sword Marquis, arrived just as Jian Wushuang had expected. When he clearly sensed the existence of the will of heaven, the will of heaven had also discovered his existence and immediately informed the three Saint Masters of the news. In the primal chaos void at the core of the three Saint Realms, the consciousness avatars of the three Saint Masters had been condensed there, and their expressions were quite grave. That Heavenly Sword Marquis is really bold. He clearly knows that the third heaven is the base of our three great Saint Realms, and the power of the heavenly Tao will here is the densest. As long as he steps into the third heaven, under the power of the heavenly Tao he will have nowhere to hide. But even so, he still dares to come. Destruction, Saint Master growled. He has nothing to fear. Life and death, Saint Master's expression was solemn. In the battle on Saha Island, our three great Saint Realms couldn't kill him even after setting up an inescapable net. After losing that battle, it's almost impossible for us three Saint Realms to attack him again. Not to mention the fact that the Temporal Temple Master must have prepared a life-saving trump card for him. Just his own technique of time-space teleportation is already giving us a headache. The Heavenly Sword Marquis knows that the three great Saint Realms are already unable to do anything to him. That's why he dares to come here and scrupulously. Flame's Saint Master's voice was low. There's nothing we can do. With the strength of the three great Saint Realms, it's indeed very difficult to kill him. Even if we attack now, it probably won't have any effect. On the contrary, it will make the Heavenly Sword Marquis even more vigilant. At the same time, it will also stimulate him to cultivate even harder and increase his strength. In other words, if we attack him now, it will only encourage him and temper him. To us, this is not worth the loss. It's better for us to just sit quietly and do nothing and wait for the day to come. You're right. We shouldn't change anything. Back when Xianyi rose up, our three great Saint Realms did the same thing. We let Xianyi grow on his own. We won't provoke him anymore, and we won't give him the chance to use us as an opponent to temper himself. When that day comes, won't Xianyi die? Destruction, Saint Master's voice was cold. Although Heavenly Sword Marquis has shown incredible talent, he might not be able to reach the level of his master Xianyi when the day comes. Even if he does, he will still die. In that case, it's decided. The three masters of the Saint Realm quickly reached a consensus. Even though they knew that Jian Wushuang had stepped into the third heaven, they still did not plan to attack him. After reaching this consensus, the three masters of the Saint Realm immediately gave orders to restrain the experts under the command of the three Saint Realms. During this period of time, if they encountered Jian Wushuang, they should avoid him as much as possible. If they encountered any mysterious experts, they should also try not to provoke him. In short, the three masters of the Saint Realm's intention was very clear. They did not want to provoke Jian Wushuang now. No matter where Jian Wushuang was, as long as Jian Wushuang did not take the initiative to attack the three Saint Realms, they would let him go. Jian Wushuang could do whatever he wanted. Countless years ago, when Xianyi rose to power, the three Saint Realms tried to suppress him. However, when they realized that they could not suppress him and could not do anything to him, they made the same decision. Jian Wushuang naturally did not know what the three Saint Realms were thinking. However, just as the three Saint Realms had expected, he was indeed fearless now. He knew that with his life-saving skills and trump cards, the three Saint Realms would not be able to kill him unless a master-level expert came. At this moment, Jian Wushuang had obtained a detailed map of the star field of the third heaven from Temple Master Bai Xing. We are now in the bone flood domain of the northwest 19 domains of the third heaven. Jian Wushuang looked at the star map and had determined his location. The third heaven was very big much bigger than the first heaven and second heaven, and there were countless experts. There were two overlords in the northwestern region of the third heaven. They were the Illusionary Moon Sect and the Burning Heart Sect of the Eight Directions Celestial Sect. There were a total of 18 regions under the control of the two celestial sects, each of which occupied 9 territories. The remaining region was sandwiched between the two celestial sects. Bone Flood Domain was a domain under the control of the Illusory Moon Sect. Although it was only a domain, it was still extremely vast. There were countless forces and clans, big and small, with the Principal's Masters among them. There were more than a dozen forces that had given birth to Principal's Masters. The Illusory Moon Sect. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Jian Wushuang looked at the domain marked with the words Illusory Moon Sect on the star map in front of him, and his expression became strange. He had interacted with the Illusory Moon Sect, one of the Eight Directions Celestial Sect. In the Bloodwave realm, he had fought with Di Hao, Qian Hongzi, Duanlang, and others from the Destruction Saint realm as soon as they entered the Bloodwave realm. After that, the Destruction Saint realm immediately retaliated against them. In the process, the Destruction Saint realm had invited people from the Illusory Moon Sect to help them. Although the Destruction Saint realm did not succeed, and the Illusory Moon Sect suffered a loss at Jian Wushuang's hands, it was the Illusory Moon Sect who provoked him. However, nothing happened after that. Now that Jian Wushuang had just arrived at the third heaven, it happened to be a territory controlled by the Illusory Moon Sect. What a coincidence! The Illusory Moon Sect joined hands with the Destruction Saint realm in the Bloodwave realm and tried to kill me. It's obvious that the Illusory Moon Sect has always followed the lead of the 3 Saint realms. The Illusory Moon Sect probably contributed a lot to the destruction of the 7-star Mysterious Sect. If there's a chance, it'll teach them a lesson, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. After finding out where he was, Jian Wushuang looked at the other territories in the third heaven. In the third heaven, all the overlords gathered. The 3 most powerful saint realms were in the center of the third heaven and controlled the 3 territories at the core of the third heaven. As for the 4 divine races, although their territories were not as powerful as the 3 saint realms, they were not much weaker. Moreover, because the 4 divine races gathered there were many special races in the divine beginning realm. This included the existence of many strange beasts and fierce beasts. Hence, that territory was also known as the demon realm. The 3 great saint realms and the demon realm occupied the territories with the best cultivation conditions in the third heaven. The remaining territories were occupied by the 8 Directions Heavenly Sect and other large factions with similar foundations. Chapter 34, 19 Naturally Terminated Meridians. Miss Shower has an inexplicable relationship with the 9-tailed clan, one of the 4 divine clans. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Shower and my relatives in this life should be in the demon realm, but Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes slightly. He had the communication token of Miss Shower. He could have sent a message to Miss Shower and asked her to tell him the exact location of his relatives, and then he would go there to meet her. However, Jian Wushuang did not intend to do so. It was not because he did not want to see his relatives in this life, but because he still had a lot of doubts about Miss Shower. Up until now, he still did not know Miss Shower's specific identity and background, did not know what relationship she had with the 9-tailed clan, and did not know what her motive was. Even if he were to go over and see Miss Shower, he would probably only be able to learn a little from Miss Shower's own mouth. But who could guarantee that what Miss Shower said was true? Who could guarantee that Miss Shower did not have any intention of scheming against him? At the very least, Jian Wushuang could not completely trust Miss Shower at the moment. He had always been on guard. Since he had come to the third heaven, he naturally wanted to clear up all these doubts. However, these doubts could not be solely based on Miss Shower's words. Jian Wushuang had to find a way to clear them up himself. Although I know about the power of the will of heaven, I'm afraid that only the 3 masters of the Saint Realm will know about my arrival in the third heaven. However, no one else should know about it, including Miss Shower. In that case, Jian Wushuang's expression changed. Following that, the muscles on his face began to squirm. In the blink of an eye, his appearance had undergone an earth-shaking change. Heavenly Sword Marquis, what are you doing? Demon Master Qinhua could not help asking when he saw the change in Jian Wushuang. I don't intend to expose my identity easily in the third heaven, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. He was very famous in the divine beginning realm. Moreover, almost all the high-level experts in the divine beginning realm had seen his fierce battle on the Saha Island, so they naturally remembered his appearance. As long as he showed up, he would be easily recognized, of course. He had to disguise himself. After changing his appearance, Jian Wushuang immediately set off. He did not dare to use teleportation to go to the demon realm. Instead, he slowly moved forward. Half a day later, according to the instructions in the star field, there is a large city not far ahead. The prosperity of this city is among the top 5 in the entire Bone Flood domain. Qinhua, when we pass by the city later, we won't be in a hurry to continue our journey. Let's find a tavern in the city and have a drink first, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Yes, Demon Master Qinhua answered, but he suddenly stopped in the void. What's wrong? Jian Wushuang immediately stopped and looked at Demon Master Qinhua. He found that Demon Master Qinhua was looking down at his feet with surprise in his eyes. Jian Wushuang also followed Demon Master Qinyuo's gaze and immediately saw a naked upper body on a mountain at the bottom. A young man with tan skin was carrying a huge rock that weighed at least tens of thousands of pounds. He was running rapidly on the mountain. The young man looked to be only 15 or 16 years old, but his facial features were very firm. His forehead and body were soaked in sweat, and he looked very tired. However, his eyes were unusually sharp and firm. The huge rock weighed tens of thousands of pounds on his body, but he was still running desperately. Originally, it should have been easy for a cultivator in the divine beginning realm to carry a huge rock weighing tens of thousands of pounds, or even effortless. However, this was also because the cultivator had the divine power backing him up. However, at this moment, there was no divine power fluctuation on the body of the young man who was running wildly with the huge rock on his shoulder. Yes, there was no divine power fluctuation at all. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBox Novel. Thanks. Even Jian Wushuang and the perception ability of the Demon Master Qinhua could not sense any divine power from the body of the young man. This meant that the young man indeed did not have any divine power. He was purely relying on his physical body and his brute strength to run wildly against the giant rock. It was obvious that he was crazily refining his body. That's not right. He was born in the divine beginning realm and in the third heaven, which is a perfect cultivation environment. Logically speaking, no matter how stupid he is, he should be able to easily condense divine power in his body and become a cultivator. But this little guy, how come he doesn't have any divine power at this age? Jian Wushuang frowned. It's a naturally terminated Meridians, Demon Master Qinhua suddenly said. Naturally terminated Meridians. Jian Wushuang immediately looked over. This is a unique constitution born from heaven and earth. Once this constitution is formed, all his meridians will be completely blocked. There won't be any heaven and earth spiritual chi entering his body. If he can't even absorb the heaven and earth spiritual chi, he naturally won't be able to condense divine power and become a cultivator. Demon Master Qinhua said, born from heaven and earth. Isn't he a born trash? Jian Wushuang asked with a frown. Yes, he is a born trash. However, the reason why his meridians are blocked is not because he is not talented. On the contrary, it is because his talent is too high and he is restricted by heaven and earth. That's why his meridians are formed. Demon Master Chenhua said, another restriction from heaven and earth. Jian Wushuang's face darkened. He had thought that the restrictions of the heavenly Tao should only be applied to special life forms. He did not expect that there would be some inherent restrictions on some extremely talented people. Of course, although the heavenly Tao has some restrictions on those with high aptitude, the restrictions are still far from being comparable to those of special life forms. Take the naturally terminated meridians as an example. Although they are unable to condense divine power or become cultivators, no matter how hard they try, they are unable to do so. But if one day, by chance, he meets a powerful rule master who is willing to pay a great price to reconstruct your meridians, then his terminated meridians will be completely opened, and he will soar to the sky and become an insufferably proud son of heaven. Moreover, his talent and potential are so great that not many people in the divine beginning realm can compare to him, said Demon Master Chenhua. Chenhua, you seem to know a lot about the naturally terminated meridians. Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Chenhua in surprise. Of course I do, because I used to have naturally terminated meridians too. Demon Master Chenhua said, seriously? What? Jian Wushuang was surprised to hear this. Demon Master Chenhua used to have naturally terminated meridians too. Chapter 34:20 The Youth Zhao Mang. I was indeed born with no meridians. From the moment I was born, I was just like that little fellow beneath my feet. I was unable to condense divine power at all, so naturally I was unable to truly become a cultivator. Because of this, my parents tried everything for me, but unfortunately, they were unable to improve. Later on, as I grew older and older, I also knew that the most important thing in this world was strength. Without power, I'm nothing. Even though I know I can't gather divine power, I still try my best to cultivate. If I can't cultivate divine power, then it'll refine my body. I've worked so hard just to change everything. One day, Demon Master Chenyuo's face became misty. Apparently, when he was young, he suffered a lot because of his naturally terminated meridians. Otherwise, the fact that the Demon Master Chenhua could dominate the divine beginning realm meant that his situation had changed. Pausing for a while, the Demon Master Chenhua continued, no matter who it is, as long as they are willing to persevere and work hard, they will be rewarded. My hard work has indeed been rewarded, or perhaps I was lucky enough to meet my master. My master was already one of the elders of the Amethyst demon sect at that time. He was also a principal's master of the three void realms. He saw me and saw my naturally terminated meridians at a glance. Perhaps because of my hard work, he personally accepted me as his personal disciple and spent a great price to reconstruct my meridians. He also took me to the Amethyst demon sect. From then on, my fate changed dramatically. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang understood. It was no wonder that Demon Master Chenhua was so loyal to the Amethyst demon sect and his master. It turned out that his fate had changed only when he met his master. If he had not met his master, he would not have achieved so much in the future. This little guy in front of me is also born with terminated meridians. Like me, he knew that he could not condense divine power, but he still refused to admit defeat and tried his best to temper his body. I see him now as if I saw myself in the past. Demon Master Chenhua kept staring at the young man below. His eyes were filled with melancholy. This young man seems to be planning to go back, Jian Wushuang suddenly said. He had noticed that the young man who was carrying a giant rock and running between the mountains below had put down the giant rock on his body and was walking toward the nearby city. It seems that he lives in the city. He just went to this secluded place outside the city to cultivate, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Qinhua, since you said that he is the same as you were when you were young and he is going to Wu Xian City, why don't you and I follow him? After a moment of hesitation, Demon Master Qinhua nodded slightly and said, "Okay." Both of them set off, but they slowed down and followed the young man to the giant city. They watched the young man enter the city and soon entered a huge courtyard. This courtyard seems to belong to a family. It seems that this little guy is a family disciple, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. It's fine if he is the son of an ordinary cultivator. Even if he has naturally terminated meridians, it has nothing to do with other people. But a family disciple, the competition within the family is very fierce. This little guy doesn't even have a trace of divine power. He must have suffered a lot growing up in this family environment, Demon Master Qinhua said with a frown. There's a tavern across the street from this family. Let's go there for a drink and ask about this little guy. Jian Wushuang smiled and headed straight for the tavern. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website, MyBoxNovel.com. Thanks. When they arrived at the tavern, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua sat by the window. Through the window, they could see the huge courtyard across the street. "My lords, what can I do for you?" A black-clothed attendant appeared in front of Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua. Jian Wushuang casually waved his hand and took out an interspatial ring. The interspatial ring did not recognize its owner. The black-clothed attendant scanned it with his consciousness and immediately sensed the dense accumulation of saint elixirs. There were at least 100,000 saint elixirs. I want to ask you some questions. Answer honestly. If I'm satisfied, the interspatial ring will be yours, Jian Wushuang said. Please ask my lord. He'll tell you everything I know. The black-clothed attendant's eyes were burning with passion. He was just a waiter in the tavern. Although he had just reached the level of the immortal saint, he was at the bottom of the immortal saint ranks. 100,000 saint elixirs was already a huge fortune for him. Of course, he would cherish the opportunity in front of him. Let me ask you, where is the huge courtyard across the street? Jian Wushuang asked. Sir, that is the mansion of the Zhao family, one of the 5 families in the Wu Xian city. Although the Zhao family is not a big family in the Bone Flood domain, the Wu Xian city is one of the most prosperous cities in the Bone Flood domain. To be able to occupy a place in the Wu Xian city, the Zhao family's heritage is not weak. There are rumors that the Zhao family once had a peak saint, but I don't know if they still have one now, the black-clothed waiter said, truthfully. Do you know of a young man in the Zhao family who is unable to condense divine power? Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, I know of him. Zhao Mang, the 3rd young master of the Zhao family, is a good-for-nothing young master in the Wu Xian city. He is quite famous in the Wu Xian city, the black-clothed attendant said with a smile. It is said that Zhao Mang has been unable to absorb spiritual qi and condense divine power since he was born. He is already 16 years old, but he is still unable to become a cultivator. Many people in the Wu Xian city regard him as a joke. Even his father, the current patriarch of the Zhao family, has always regarded Zhao Mang as a disgrace. His 2 brothers have long drawn a line between them and have no contact with him. If it weren't for the fact that he is more or less of the bloodline of the Zhao family, and that his sister, the 4th young miss of the Zhao family, has been protecting him, Zhao Mang would have been expelled from the Zhao family. Even his father and elder brother regard him as a disgrace. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. This is a family. In such a competitive environment like the third heaven, these people no longer have any kinship in their eyes, only strength and self-interest. Demon Master Chenyuo's face was cold. However, there is still his sister in the Zhao family who stands up for him. It can't be considered a complete betrayal. Indeed, at least one person is sincere for his good. Jian Wushuang also smiled. Chapter 34, 21 Saint Qingyan, Jian Wushuang, and Demon Master Chenhua asked some more questions about the Zhao family and Zhao Mang before handing the interspatial ring to the black-clothed attendant and sending him away. Chenhua, according to what the attendant said, this little guy named Zhao Mang is indeed quite pitiful, and it's very similar to what happened to you. It's just that you met your master by chance, but this Zhao Mang, Chenhua, don't you want to learn from your master and save this little guy from suffering? Jian Wushuang said casually. He knew very well that given Chenyuo's character, he was already moved by the fact that he was willing to sit here and listen to Zhao Mang. Jian Wushuang guessed that Demon Master Chenhua must have the same thoughts as his master, but he had yet to take action. There's no rush. Let's wait and see. Demon Master Chenhua picked up the wine bowl in his hand and drank a cup, then began to ponder. Jian Wushuang just smiled and did not say anything. In the next few days, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua did not go anywhere. They just stayed in the tavern. Although they stayed in the tavern, their soul perception had long spread out and could completely cover the entire city. Naturally, Zhao Mang's every move could not escape their eyes. They watched Zhao Mang run out of the city every day and cultivate alone. His cultivation method was very crude. Obviously, he did not have any expert's guidance. It was purely a blind trial and error. For example, he had developed the cultivation method that could improve his body by carrying boulders and running between mountains. This cultivation method was very painful, but Zhao Mang gritted his teeth and persevered without the slightest hesitation. This little guy, at least in terms of perseverance, is very impressive. After a few days of observation, Jian Wushuang was also secretly amazed. As for the Demon Master Chenhua, he did not make a statement until the 10th day that Jian Wushuang and the Demon Master Chenhua were in the Wu Xian city. On this day, the Wu Xian city became lively. The reason for this was that a big figure had come to the Wu Xian city. This big shot was a core disciple of the illusory moon sky sect, and he had already reached the peak saint realm, Qingyan. Saint Qingyan was a very famous peak saint in the entire Northwest 19 regions. It was said that he was very close to becoming an invincible saint, and he was a core disciple of the illusory moon sky sect. His master was an elder of the illusory moon sky sect who had reached the void 4th stage. Whether it was his own strength or his background, it was enough to scare people to death in Wu Xian city. For example, the 5 great families in Wu Xian city usually only came into contact with peak saints. However, there were not many of them whose strength could be compared to the Green Hate Saint, not to mention the Green Hate Saint's background. One had to know the Bone Flood Dragon realm was within the control of the Illusionary Moon Sky Sect. The Illusionary Moon Sky Sect was like the sky in the Bone Flood Dragon realm. With a slight stomp of their feet, they could trample a large number of small families like the Zhao family to death. Because of this, when Saint Qingyan came to Wu Xian city, the 5 family heads of Wu Xian city immediately welcomed him in person. But in the end, for some unknown reason, Saint Qingyan was welcomed into the Zhao family. In the tavern, Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Sinking Fire were still drinking. As for the arrival of the so-called Saint Qingyan, it did not attract their attention at all. Even his master, who had reached the 4th realm of the Void Realm, would not be taken seriously by Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Chenhua let alone a mere Saint Qinyan. However, while Jian Wushuang and Demon Master Qinhua were talking, Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. Qinhua, the little guy you like seems to be in trouble, and I'm afraid it's not a small trouble. Jian Wushuang looked at Demon Master Qinhua with interest. Sure enough, Demon Master Qinhua frowned slightly at this moment. Their soul power had been covering the entire Zhao family. They had seen everything that happened in the Zhao family, including their every move. At this moment, they saw a special thing happening in the meeting hall of the Zhao family. Ha! Grandmaster Zhao, are you really willing to give your daughter to my maidservant? Saint Qinyan, who had an evil expression on his face, let out an evil smile at this moment. Of course, it's rare for Saint Qinyan to think highly of my daughter. It's my fortune in my previous life to be able to be your maidservant. The Grand Master of the Zhao clan also smiled and appeared to be extremely enthusiastic. Meanwhile, the elders of the Zhao clan, all of them agreed one after another, completely ignoring the terrified expression of the peerless beauty below. This peerless beauty was the daughter of the head of the Zhao family, also known as Zhao Mang's younger sister. Her name was Zhao Ling. In the Zhao family, only this Zhao Ling had always used her status to protect Zhao Mang. However, she did not expect that her father, the head of the Zhao family, would actually promise her on the spot to be the Saint Qinjian's maidservant. Furthermore, the other party was the notorious saint's servant in the entire Bone Flood Dragon realm. Zhao Ling felt as if she had fallen into hell in an instant. Visit Re-Adel, me for extra chapters. He looked at the head of the Zhao family with longing, and those elders of the Zhao family. In the end, no one was willing to pay attention to her. Her heart was close to despair. However, at this moment, hold on! A low cry suddenly sounded within the large hall. The expressions of the members of the Zhao clan, who were originally welcoming Saint Qinyan, changed. Immediately, many pairs of eyes looked towards the entrance of the large hall. A young man had already crossed the door and was walking over. This person was surprisingly Zhao Mang. Zhao Mang, what are you doing here? This place is also something that you can come to. Hurry up and scram. Upon seeing Zhao Mang, the Zhao clan's grandmaster expression sunk as he immediately reprimanded. Humph! If I did not come, fourth younger sister's life would have been completely ruined by you as a bargaining chip. Zhao Mang's eyes were cold, although his body was not considered too tall, and he did not possess the slightest divine power aura. But at this moment, the coldness in his eyes was enough to cause the backs of everyone present to light up. Zhao Yong. Zhao Mang raised his head and looked directly at the head of the Zhao family, who was also his father. No matter how you want to curry favor with Saint Qinyan, it has nothing to do with me. You can do whatever you want, but you cannot sacrifice fourth younger sister, and you cannot hand fourth younger sister over to this bastard. Beast. Zhao Mang's words caused the expressions of all the members of the Zhao clan in the hall to change drastically. Even the figure of the Zhao clan head trembled violently. His heart was greatly shocked. As for Saint Qinyan, his expression had already turned dark and cold. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 34-22 Execution. Zhao Mang, what nonsense are you talking about? Hurry up and scram. The head of the Zhao family was extremely shocked and furious. He had finally found an opportunity to curry favor with this green hate saint and use it to benefit the Zhao family. Yet at this moment, Zhao Mang actually came out to cause trouble and even directly cursed the Saint Qinyan and Beast in front of everyone. How could the patriarch of the Zhao family not be angry. However, Zhao Mang coldly snorted. He said, "Isn't it so? In the entire bone flood dragon realm, who doesn't know that this Saint Qingyan is a beast with a human face? Just in the past 100 years, who knows how many women have died in his hands and were tortured to death by him? If fourth younger sister falls into his hands, I'm afraid her fate will not be any better." Zhao Mang's words caused Zhao Ling, who was in the middle of the hall, to tremble. It was because she had heard of Saint Qingyan's infamous name that she was so frightened when the head of the Zhao family wanted to gift her to Saint Qingyan as a maidservant. If it was anyone else, even if she was unwilling, she would not be so frightened. "Head of the Zhao family, it seems that your Zhao family doesn't really want to hand Zhao Ling over to me?" Saint Qingyan had a bewitching smile on her face as she looked at Zhao Yong, the head of the Zhao family. Being looked at by Saint Qingyan, Zhao Yong's heart trembled. However, he forced a smile and said, "Saint Qingyan, you've misunderstood. The entire Zhao family respects you greatly and is willing to gift Zhao Ling to you as a maidservant. As for this Zhao Mang that you see now, although he still has my bloodline, I've already severed my relationship with him. Furthermore, my Zhao family has already decided to completely expel him from the family. Therefore, his words cannot represent my Zhao family at all." "Is that so?" Saint Qingyan raised his eyebrows. "Yes, yes," a handsome man beside him echoed. "Lord Qingyan, it's not just father. As his older brother, I haven't acknowledged him as my younger brother for a long time. Our Zhao family doesn't have a trash like him." This person was one of Zhao Mang's two older brothers, the eldest son of the Zhao family. Right. He's not a member of our Zhao family." "Humph. Although our Zhao family isn't considered a big family, we still have some prestige in Wuxian City. How could we allow a useless existence like him, who can't even gather divine power, to exist? We should have chased him out of the family a long time ago. It's fine if he's a useless person, but he actually dares to speak shamelessly and insult the Green Hate Saint. He really deserves to die. Grandmaster, I suggest that we directly execute Zhao Mang." Voices continuously sounded in the hall. No one was on Zhao Mang's side at all. They all said that they wanted to expel Zhao Mang from the family. There were even a few who suggested that Zhao Mang be directly executed. Directly execute him? Zhao Yong frowned slightly. Why? Is Grandmaster Zhao unwilling to part with him? Saint Qingyan looked over at this moment. Zhao Yong immediately reacted. At the same time, he also saw Saint Qingyan's intention. Immediately, he coldly said, "That's right. This Zhao Mang has always been disrespectful toward his elders. Today, he even insulted Saint Qingyan in front of everyone. This is simply disrespectful. What is the point of keeping such a person in this world? He should be directly executed, so that the hatred in Saint Qingyan's heart can be appeased." Zhao Mang's body trembled when he heard these words. However, he still clenched his teeth tightly and stared at Zhao Yong with his scarlet eyes. Zhao Ling also looked at Zhao Yong with a face full of disbelief. As the saying goes, a vicious tiger would not eat its own son. However, for the sake of the clan's interests, Zhao Yong had first planned to sacrifice his daughter, Zhao Ling, to curry favor with Saint Qingyan. Now, in order to dispel Saint Qingyan's anger, he had actually made the decision to kill Zhao Mang. "Grandmaster Zhao, since you want to execute him, I wonder who should do it?" Saint Qingyan casually asked. "Although this Zhao Mang has offended you, Saint Qingyan, if you were to do it yourself, it would be a loss of status. Therefore, I won't trouble you with this matter. Let me, the value of the Zhao clan, do it myself." Zhao Yong's expression was cold. His gaze toward Zhao Mang no longer had a trace of kinship. "Zhao Yong, you're really ruthless." Zhao Mang gritted his teeth. However, he then burst into laughter. Ha! Kill me if you want to. After all, I'm not of much use in this world. Being able to die by your hands can be considered as repaying the favor of your bloodline. Zhao Yong, remember this. From now on, Zhao Mang, will no longer owe you anything. And all of you, Zhao Mang's eyes were bloodshot. He looked as if he was madly looking at the powerful warriors of the Zhao family around him. These powerful warriors looked at him with extremely cold gazes. Ha! A group of heartless people. No wonder the Zhao family could only stay in this small Wu Xian city for so long. With you people around, I'm afraid that it won't be long before the Zhao family will completely cease to exist. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. Just wait. All of you just wait. This day will come sooner or later. The Zhao family is destined to be destroyed. They are destined to walk on the path of strangers. Zhao Mang, you still dare to boast shamelessly when death is at hand. Zhao Yong shouted angrily. You shut up. Zhao Mang coldly glanced at Zhao Yong. The coldness in his eyes caused even Zhao Yong, a rank 7 true saint, to tremble. Zhao Yong, I only hate myself for being born into such a filthy family like the Zhao family. I hate myself for being too weak and unable to bring my 4th sister away safely. But let me tell you, even if I die and become a malicious ghost after I die, I will forever haunt the Zhao family and make them restless until the day I see you die, and the day the Zhao family is completely destroyed. Impudent! Zhao Yong's gaze turned cold, and he did not allow Zhao Mang to continue speaking. His figure flashed, and he transformed into a sharp ray of light that charged toward Zhao Mang. Everyone in the hall saw this ray of light that was filled with killing intent, and no one stepped forward to stop it. As for Zhao Mang, he was still laughing maniacally, and it looked as if he was about to be shattered by that ray of light. However, suddenly, buzz! A wave of power erupted in the middle of the hall without any warning. The figure that Zhao Yong was charging towards was immediately struck by this wave of power. In an instant, he was blasted away like a cannonball and smashed heavily into the wall of the hall. The wall instantly exploded. However, the entire room did not collapse. This sudden scene caused everyone in the hall, including Saint Qingyan, to jump in shock. Soon after, they immediately noticed the 2 figures that appeared out of thin air in the middle of the hall. One of these 2 figures was a young man in a golden robe, while the other was a sloppy old man in gray robes who stood beside the golden-robed man, like a guard. After the 2 of them appeared in the middle of the hall, the casual sounds of conversation also slowly echoed in the hall. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters.